Can you hear me now?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we can.
I said I can provide one of those things.
You never clarified.
It's true. Alright.
Which one are you giving?
I guess I'll move this here. Why the punch, of course. I'm not qualified to handle pie.
I was hoping for peanut butter pie. That shit's good.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, what's
Hello,
good?
hello.
No, just chilling. Was doing a couple battlegrounds that we actually won for once. It was so nice.
Nice. Yeah, that should work. Actually capturing the correct window this time so I don't just do a 3 hour long podcast of a black screen.
Proud of you.
Moving on up.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
All right, people trickling in. All right, so I'm going to link this afterwards. This video here, this is the same person that I used for our previous review. This is his from the first re-release of TBC PTR from about 4 years ago. So it's obviously not.
Are you streaming it? Because I don't see it.
Oh, I'm on YouTube. I'm streaming it. I suppose I should do this too. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Yeah, so this guy's review, he does both Black Temple and Hydro in this video. it's really extensive, but if you have time, I'd honestly recommend just sitting through it because it's honestly fantastic. Like the way he talks about specific like niche things, how he goes through different fights. He sort of rushes through certain parts like boss fights just because he's done videos of it in the past. So if you're looking for like a gameplay of like a specific kill, I've got some of them as well. That'll be in a different video, but as far as like getting into the nitty gritty, I'd highly recommend this video, which I'll link afterwards. And this is like the majority of what I use specifically for trash. Hearing him talk about trash was super helpful. The next couple things are the guides that Zoe has in the TBC notes. These are, I do not remember what the person's name is that wrote them, but they are fantastic. They have a breakdown of trash. They have a breakdown of waves in Hyjal, how you should pull in Black Temple, like a raid path. It's incredible. If you ever had wanted to like wonder what's gonna kill you, these are both fantastic. And then obviously they have boss guides as well, which are really good. So those are the three things I'm kind of using for this, if anyone's curious.
Yeah, those spreadsheets are really cool. Whoever
Mhm.
whoever fucked around with them was really cool to do so.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
Well, go fuck yourself, DFC.
okay, so for Hyjal, we'll start with Hyjal. From what I've read, what I've watched, and what we experienced on the PTR, the Hyjal is a giant pain in the ass. It is slow, it is monotonous, and it is unbelievably punishing. It's not hard. It's just if you fuck up, you feel it. And it is so frustrating. There are still bugs in this that can glitch the instance, and you're just locked out of bosses for the week. So it is imperative to listen to your raid leaders on what is happening, where they need you to be, how to not die with threat, even more so than before. Hyjal is something that you want to get done in an hour and a half and never talk about ever again. It is really, really frustrating. It's not unfun. I enjoyed some of the bosses. The trash is very frustrating, but the bosses are actually quite interesting. But it's one of those raids where it is so much more important that you stay alive the entire time and do exactly what you need to do than literally anything else. The damage isn't really super important. Like a good fun fact, Archimond, who is the last boss, has less health than Gruul. So damage wise, it's not the kind of focus of this raid. It is strictly just doing mechanics and living are so unbelievably important. So I'll start over here, I guess. Each wave of trash is going to be different. There's going to have different mobs with different abilities. We've got some range creatures like Encrypt Fiends, which I'll talk about once we get into certain pulls. Ghouls, which are your basic like melee. Necromancers, which really need to be kicked. Especially their Shadow Bolt is really going to hurt your prop paladins. Abominations, these are important for tanks. They're going to deal with stunning the tank. They have a disease cloud. Managing these was pretty substantial when we did it on the PTR. This would be an important aspect. Banshees are another caster. Specifically with Banshees, they cast an anti-magic shell. If you can stun that and interrupt it, it's super helpful. Gargoyles, another caster. Frostworm, just a big dumb idiot. Infernals, same thing, just very big silly mobs, not really a big deal. And then Fellhounds, which we don't see that often, but they have a mana burn attached to them, which is not fun.
I'd like to add that necromancers can be mind controlled.
Yeah,
And
yeah. There's some niche things you can do with the mind controls for sure. Sheeping as well.
I wouldn't. Well, you can cast the melee buff on your own melee, so it's really powerful to clear.
Yeah, if you're a Shadow Priest, something you can do to really increase the clear time, since we have Fury Warriors, is give the melee buff to your Fury Warrior, and they can help cleave down a lot of those ads a lot stronger.
So each boss in Hyjal has 8 waves before it. Well, at least the first 4 anyway. So you have 8 waves of trash that you'll have to kill, and then once you kill all 8, then the boss comes out. If you wipe on any of these waves, they will despawn. You have to wait for the fight to finish. The fight restarts. You have to start at wave 1 again. So it is so important to just get through this trash slowly, carefully. Don't pull threat. Just sort of do what you need to do. Line of sight. Listen to your radiola. It's so important just to get to that boss, because it is really punishing to wipe. It's like, it's probably 20 to 30 minutes if you wipe. Maybe not that drastic, but if you wipe on wave 7, it's it's really punishing. We'll watch. I'm gonna watch here. So these are some of the waves that are coming out now. He'll be going kind of like skipping through, but just to kind of see the gist of it. So these first couple waves, these are all the ghouls that are coming out. You can see a couple crypt fiends. And again, we were lining on the left side over here, which we actually found to be a little bit more effective. But again, using line of sight, getting out of the way, letting the mobs come to you, all of these are so important. Warlocks, mages, you guys are going to be doing the majority of the damage here, but if you go early and die, you're just sitting there for 6 waves. So I really, really can't stress enough how important it is to just chill. Same with the necromancers, wanting to get those in. Those are important to kick, because there'll be some waves where there'll be like 6 or 7 necromancers, and if they all cast on the same target, that target is just dead. So we really want to be mindful with kicks, interrupts, and line of sighting things into position. You can see the paladins setting up out there, letting the mobs come through. They'll drop a conch just so they have a little bit of starter threat, and then come back. And this is it for 8 waves. It's just constant. So you can see those casters there sort of went to the side. So ideally, if we're on the left, it's a little bit tighter of a line of sight. But if you do ever see that and you have a kick, just kick it in. Really be mindful and help your tanks. Again, the Crypt Fiends have like a subtle enrage to them. Doesn't matter. They try to run and eat stuff. They basically just die. Wouldn't worry too much about them. Here's the abominations. So you can see the glow around them. So we don't want to stack too many. What we were doing in the PTR is you were grabbing a couple, pulling them out as a tank, so that the paladin didn't have too many on them with the stun and getting hit by everything else. But if you have a stun yourself, helpful to like stop damage going through on the paladin. Again, all of this is just try to get through this as safely as possible. Free action potions are very good against them. And you can see it's a lot of trash. Like, it's just 8 waves is a lot. You can drink between each wave, that's not a problem. It's just time.
On these waves of trash, also in the spreadsheet notes, you can find the timers on when to pop your trinkets and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
you can see like 2 minutes and 5 minutes on the first one, and then you can see when you should stop using your 5-minute cooldowns or when you should stop using your 2-minute cooldowns. We should try and use them as much as possible because we want to burn through the trash as easily as possible. The bosses aren't very difficult for these stuff. It's mainly the trash. So you want to be using that stuff, and there's just markers there for you to understand when you have to stop using them so that they can be up for the bosses again.
Yeah, I would say 80% of the difficulty of this raid is just trash and trash management.
I will say some of the boss fights, while they're not difficult, they are very dependent on your placement, and so where you're standing really matters.
Yeah, we'll get to the boss
Just like
fights in
with
a sec
crafts.
here. All right. So again, they're kind of going to end up being a mix of different waves. All the 7 or 8 waves are lined out specifically what's coming in. Actually, that was a good. Let's see if they did this. This is sort of what we were was being referred to earlier. These necromancers can be MC'd, and they can also be sheeped. And essentially, what that does is kind of give you time to breathe. So if you need to res somebody, or obviously not with sheep, with mind control, but if you need to res, if people need mana, if people need CDs coming off cooldown, you can kind of CC one and sort of give yourself a bit of a breather. That'll just be a call you'll have to like listen for from your raid leader. But again, just be very mindful of trash. Trash is so important to get everybody through. Save your B reses. Don't do anything silly. Just live is so important. First boss, Rage Winter Chill. Pretty straightforward boss. This is the boss that they're requiring a PvP trinket for. And that is because of, I believe it is Ice Bolt. Yeah. So essentially, the boss casts Ice Bolt on a random target. You are stunned, and it deals 10,000 damage over 4 seconds. So mixed with the raid taking damage and the tanks taking damage, getting someone topped up over the 4 seconds is super difficult. So that's why you just throw on a PvP trinket for the first, let's say, month or 6 weeks of us doing this. You get hit by the Ice Bolt, you PvP out of it, done. It'll really help keep everybody alive, which will be super beneficial. There's a Frost Nova. It's a root. It can also be dispelled. It's important for later when we get to another ability, but just sort of keep that in mind. If you have ways to break roots, you'll need them on this fight. Frost Armor, which is really frustrating for melee and hunters, I believe. Nothing you can do about this. You're gonna have lower damage and lower attack speed from hitting the boss. So will your tanks. So just again, watch your threat.
With
And
the frost armor, it can be purged. If you're like an enhancement shaman, it's pretty ideal for you or for the LE shaman to be purging that, or the shadow priest to purge that.
Does he not
like,
just
just
reapply
because-
it right away?
What's that? Sorry,
Does he not just reapply it or no?
I actually don't know the answer to that.
What's the
If it-
question?
For Frost Armor on Rage Winter Chill, if it gets
be
purged.
dispelled.
He will probably reapply it every couple of seconds or something. But
Yeah, I don't
so
know if
you'd
that
wanna keep an eye out.
I don't know if that the spell is referring to the debuff that a player gets or the boss gets. I think it's the player.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
you
So
could just
that
have
I-
a shaman work in a purge, and then
If
even
you
if
can
he
purge it, I'm not
reapplies it,
sure,
it would
yeah.
But
It
I
would
mean,
be
it'd something
helpful,
we can
yeah.
check.
I don't know if you can purge it off of him. I thought you could from my notes I read. If
I
not,
mean, it's worth a
then.
shot.
But like you don't want to just try and dispel it off your allies because like
They're just
it's gonna
gonna
be
get it
constant.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
The final
It's not
ability,
a big-
Death and Decay. Yeah, it's not a big deal. It wasn't that big of a deal in the fight. So the final ability, Death and Decay, is really frustrating. It's like I look like a 10-second cast. He just picks a random area, cast Death and Decay on it. Everybody, you have to run away immediately from that. That's why it's important to have a root break, or like roots getting dispelled, because if you get rooted and then you cast Death and Decay, you're dead. This is insanely hard to see. We're going to see it here in a second here on this boss fight, but it is really frustrating. You can see he's using the exact same spreadsheet. And then we'll watch a kill after this as well, but he tried to bring this close to Jaina because there's some buffs you can give. I genuinely don't know if we're doing that or not. So watch Skull there. You can see it go out. Skull is frozen. And he's pointing it out as well. So this is what you're trinketing out of when you have your PvP trinket. Because it's going to be very important. And then there's the Death and Decay. It's right here. I think he's going to draw a circle around it too. But that is literally the visibility of Death and Decay. It is horrible. It is so very thin, you can barely see it. So it is so important to kind of, when he's casting it, to be mindful where you are.
Yeah, and parts of it tend to fade into the hills and bumps. So
Yes.
it's especially hard. And someone like myself
Yeah.
who's colorblind and plays in colorblind mode has lots of fun.
Yeah, I actually didn't think of that. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so you can see like it's really hard to see, and it will kill you in I don't even know, maybe 3 ticks. Like it's really painful. But it's telecast, so all you got to do is slowly move out of it, and then that's it. Like it's again kind of like Zoe was saying, the bosses are pretty chill. All you have to do is live. It's so important just to live. It's a 15-second cast even. Oh my goodness. And we complain about 3. Anyone got any quick questions about Rage? Obviously, there's like a bunch of trash, and like each trash pull is documented here. And like Zoe was saying, you can have when you should be using your CDs, all that kind of thing. This will kind of be more of a on the night. This will get called out. But it's a good idea to kind of make sure you're familiar with all of these different types of mobs and what they do and how you can help with the pull. Yeah, I was using him for this. Again, I'll link all this stuff afterwards, but this is just a one night pug that he did a few years ago.
And it depends on how, where the tank is tanking and where the raid lead wants people to stand. But a lot of range classes will be able to outrange the Frost Nova. So you do want to make sure you're at max range for DPS.
As of right now, I believe the plan is to be tanking him in the center.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good spot. So this is the kill. So there's the Nova. There's the Death and Decay. Again, like you can see how faint that is. You just gotta recognize where it is and just run. Even if you gotta run away from the boss to make sure you're safe.
This is also the opportunity to just state that if you do not have DBM or bigwigs or weak auras or some way to help you, because this, as like we saw, the Death and Decay is like really hard to see. Like please get one of them.
That's not a please, actually. That is a requirement that you need to have these add-ons. It's in the rules that you hit the sign up for when you got the role to see our rates. So have those add-ons.
It can be made easier to see. There's an option in the settings called particle density. If you turn that all the way up, it becomes really easy to see.
Specifically for Rage, there is a weak aura for the Ice Bolt thing. To let you know that you are the target of it. If weak auras are your thing, highly recommend using that specific weak aura. It is in the spreadsheets and it is in the fucking TPC raid notes.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of weak auras. You can see here on this, it's like right on the boss in melee. So if this is the case, like there's no greeting at melee, just turn tail and run. Because it really hurts. Like, even look at the tank health. Just get, oh, he actually stays in it. Making me look terrible. Unbelievable. But again, pretty straightforward fight. That's another ice tomb. Looks like he's getting healed through it. But you got to remember, like, the first month, healers are learning this fight as well. So we don't want to try to make them heal through it. Like, we just want the PvP trinket. And another note with the PvP trinket is you can wait till wave 7 and use your TPS trinkets. And after wave 7, there is a moment. I actually even think after wave 8, you can apply your PvP trinket. It might be 7 because of the 30 seconds, but you don't have to wear it the entire time. So you can still kind of DPS to your heart's content. But again, very chill boss. Another Death and Decay goes out. Again, it's on melee. Melee's just got to get out. You just want to live in this raid. You do not want to wipe ever, like ever. It is so punishing. Even if it takes us 3 hours, we'd rather do 3 hours and not wipe. This place is exhausting. It looks like he just puts up the ice block or the ice barrier on himself. It's not up that long, so. There's another Death and Decay, and he's dead. Pretty straightforward kill. So some people tank it a little bit closer to here so that certain casters and stuff can stand next to Jaina for a spirit buff. You can run the risk of hitting Jaina with the Death and Decay, so it's a little bit awkward. But for the most part, you just sort of spread out around this area and use your PvP trinket, call for a heal if you don't have one, and then run out of the Death and Decay. Very straightforward boss. Again, it's mostly going to be this trash. This trash is so important to get right to line of sight. Like I said, we were on the left side, which was I also thought was better. But it's just, you know, help your tanks, help your healers, play smart, get loot. All right.
Like,
So
don't
next
jump
setup.
on the building. You can get on the buildings, but that is definitely one of the ways you can bug out the instance.
Yeah, that's more prominent in the next area, but basically, if there's something you can stand on, don't stand on it. It is
Well, because if you
super
stand
buggy.
to the left, there's that blacksmith there, and people can get on top of it.
Looks good. So the next set, we've got again ghouls, abominations, crypt fiends, necromancers. A couple of these, like 4 necromancers, is when it starts to get a little dicey for a tank or whoever gets targeted. 2 banshees, 4 necromancers, so like a lot of kicks. 2 and 4 again, some more abominations, a little bit of everything. So you really want to be mindful of what mobs are coming with what wave and how to help your tanks sort of pull them safely and keep you safe as well.
Can I add something quickly to that?
Yeah.
Which is the Banshees. They'll put out a curse that will reduce physical melee's chance to hit for 66%, and they also put up an anti-magic field. So the curses have to come down when they get up, otherwise they stay up forever.
Yeah, decurse is super important for that area for sure. You can see that they're coming out of this area here in the future. Once we get comfortable with it, some guilds will just kill everything right at the spawn to make it faster. But for now, that's sort of like why it takes so long for them to get here, is they're kind of like doing their RP thing. So again, we've got a bunch of casters in here. Make sure we're kicking. A couple more casters. You can see that they sort of don't always obey the line of sight. They run sort of towards the center. So that X is just casting, free casting out there. So someone just needs to go out. And another note that he said melee is if you run out there and just get aggro on it, they don't hurt that much. They're not going to two-shot you. Like the casts hurt, but if you can kick that and you get threat, you can just pull it into the paladin, and it's not going to like melee you to death. You have some time to kind of like bring the caster in. The big thing with those is the kick. So just sort of be mindful, help out where you can. And again, a lot of this trash is repetitive, but it was nice to watch through once and like be a part of it once to see each wave, and each wave will have its own set of challenges. So it's good. It's a good exercise to do if you want to be a little bit prepared. We were single targeting down abominations, which was helpful, just to keep Aaron alive, or whoever the paladin is. All right. Miss. Oh, I guess I'll use a Iron Shield potion.
Didn't help. Mitigation's a lie.
That was a bug, by the way. So I watched the video, and the tanks were getting blasted, which was super fun. All right. So, Anatheron. So, big thing with this guy, the number one ability we are really worried about is Carrion Swarm. You can see in this little picture, you've got all the healers sort of spread out, and that is because Carrion Swarm is a random frontal, and if you get hit by it, it deals some damage, but it reduces your healing done by 75%. For 15 seconds, he casts this every 12 seconds. So we need to be spread out. Healers need to be aware if they get debuffed, and they need to call out, if you're tank healing, if you're raid healing, whatever it is, just be mindful that other healers are going to have to pick up your slack. Vampiric Aura, so he's going to heal for all the damage he deals. So we need our Arms Warrior to be Mortal Striking. And in the case you don't have one, I know that Hunters have Aim Shot, and then I got to imagine there's at least one other source that we can use, but we just need to have at least one on him to help.
Yeah, rogues have a poison.
There you go. There's a random sleep that'll come out. There is a food or an item called Sulfur and Slammer that is supposed to break you from this sleep. The other thing you can do is just wear your PvP trinket for this fight as well. And then, of course, if you are a warrior, if you have, I think Tremor will break this as well, but it's a good little backup plan to have if they work. Final thing.
PvP trinket breaks Anatheron, sleep, Sulfuron, Slammers are the only things that do.
Yeah. With Sulfuron Slammer, you want to try and time it so that you're doing it before it comes out. And you want to time it, if you're using a weapon, you want to time it to like immediately right after you attacked with your weapon, so that way, because it resets your weapon swing timer, right? So you want to have attacked or done something with your weapon and then immediately done it, so that way you don't lose your uptime.
Yeah, it's super minor. Like the only other worrisome thing that's going to get you is the Carrion Swarm, and you should be topped. So it is just like, oh, I don't get the DPS. So it is, it's helpful, but it is very, very much a minor thing. I did think PvP Trinket worked, but maybe not.
Maybe not. I've been reading that it does not for the sleep, but I've always personally in the past used Slammer. You just drink one right before it takes you for damage and wakes you out of the sleep, so it's pretty simple.
There you go. The final thing, he summons some. Go ahead.
Even if PvP Trinket did work, we would not want to use it, just because like there's an item that we can use to break it rather than burning an item slot kind of thing. Like
if it works, yeah. Because I have heard that these don't work, but we'll see.
They worked last time, so unless they patch them out, they should work. and there's a bunch that I put in the bank for anyone that needs them.
Final ability.
TFC had already heard about that, but when they were looking it up, it supposedly got patched out.
That's annoying if that's the case.
We'll figure it. I think it's going to be super minor, but the final thing that he's going to do is summon Infernal. Essentially, I think we ended up with 2 of these. What a lot of people are doing is you just bring the Infernal over to an area with an off-tank. Off-tank wears a bunch of fire res, and is just able to tank these things through the fight so everybody can focus down the main boss. Seems pretty clean as far as a strategy. They didn't seem to be doing too much damage to Aaron either, so.
You don't.
And Aaron, you weren't wearing any fire res, were you?
You don't need
Aaron
it.
fell over.
I fell over in the last second because the healers were in different positions and I was positioned poorly. If we were all just ready for it and had seen it before, you don't need fire resistance.
Oh, he'll send out another wave, but you can see they're all spread out. There's the wave there. So that wave is going to reduce healing, your healing done by 75%. So there's the Infernal. Off-tank should be picking that up. Hopefully not dragging it right onto the boss. There he goes, okay. Again, just another fight where you want to just be smart, be chill, watch your threat, just live and get loot. Healers are going to have to be really vocal in this fight. Who gets hit, what their role was, that sort of thing. I think he's turning it away from the mobs because he was getting parry hasted. Another Infernal coming out. You can see the pally getting chunked with 2. I think some fire res might help.
I mean, you can have aura on. If you're not doing literally anything else, like, you probably could put it on, but to call it necessary is incorrect.
I guess because you're not doing anything else in the fight, right? Like, you're DPSing over a little bit before the first one spawns, but you don't even really need threat gear. But yeah, again, very straightforward boss. The big thing is the frontal. And just making sure healers are spread and talking to one another about who they have to heal next, what they were healing, that sort of thing. Another long walk through Hyjal. One thing that we hit, this was a me thing as well because I didn't know which way to go. Once you start the RP and move on to the horde camp, everybody has to leave because ads will just show up and they were like teleporting on us because we were stayed too early and it was a whole thing. Just setting up trash. There it is. Okay. So next set of trash, again, 8 waves. Very long, very annoying. Can't reiterate enough. Just live through these fights. You don't have to do top damage. You don't have to be parsing on the waves. Just live. Control over these ads is so monumentally important. Knowing where to line them, all that stuff is so unbelievably important and so helpful. We see a couple new, maybe just 1, 2 new mobs in these, the gargoyles and the frostworm. The gargoyles are like flying ranged mobs, and so you'll see in a sec here, we are using line of sight to get them down. I'm sure they'll show up eventually, but you are using line of sight if you get targeted by them to get them back down onto the floor. and it is super important, especially for ranged and especially for healers. Healers, you are going to get a lot of aggro on those things just from passively healing the raid. So just be mindful of that. You've got 10 gargoyles in this pack. They don't do a ton of damage. It's just so that we're not prolonging those trash pulls. There was another gargoyle pull somewhere. Yeah, this one here, wave 6. And then we're going to get a frostworm, which we'll see in a second here. The frostworms were way less complicated than I thought. Again, someone gets aggro on them, just sort of pulls them down to the ground, so melee can hit. They don't do a ton of damage. You just kill them. Abominations again, so we just need to spread out, get them away from the paladin tank. Focus them down sort of one at a time as melee. Banshees to get kicked in. He's pointing out there, there's 2 pillars on that tower that you can use to line of sight. This is helpful later on as well, but these are very good LOS spots to get things down on the ground. And then like we were talking about before, these barrels, they're sort of spread out all over this encampment. Just don't stand on them. Because if there's like an evade snap or like you get aggro and you're on top of one, you can glitch out the raid. How it's still a thing, I don't know, but as a rule of thumb, just do not stand on anything like this, ever. So you can see
ramp up there.
Yeah, just everything. Just don't stand on anything. Line of sight using buildings, but other than that, just plant your feet.
Grass and dirt.
So again, casters, just make sure we're kicking melee, shamans, etc. I think Kylie brought up the arcane bombs. I think she made a bunch. So if you're an engineer, those are super helpful as well because they silence. So in a big pack like that, silencing them and getting them all in is super nice. These are the gargoyles I was talking about. So you can see how they just sort of cast randomly there. But if people go around, as he's showing, if they go around the corner here in line of sight there, then they just come right on the corner like this and come into melee, and it's just such a nice way to cleave them down. So if you get aggro on one, just make sure you're lining. And you do need to get aggro on them because the NPCs will get aggro as well. So you want to like get your aggro and then go on line of sight. Probably mostly hunters are going to be doing a heavy lifting there.
The warlocks can also like tapping to the threat or the healers when they heal said warlock.
Very true. Crypt Fiends can't be kicked. They need to be lined in. They're super annoying. They also root people. So just sort of if you're a paladin, watch for your friends needing a freedom. There is one example coming up where their paladin dies. Might be right here. No, okay. Because there's like 6 casters and they all just target the paladin, none get kicked, and the paladin just falls over right away. So there's a couple pulls like that where you just have to be really, really safe. But again, it's a lot of trash. So we just need to get through it. More gargoyles. I think this is the frostworm. There it is. So they're using this bunker to bring it down. From what I understand, this is similar to the dragons in Black Temple 2, where if you get aggro on this boss, or whatever, the frostworm, and you just run straight backwards, it follows you, and then as it follows you, it lands. So if you ever get aggro on this, just turn around and run away. And it should bring it down to the ground, which is super helpful. But this is another option, this line spot here. It just depends on what our raid leaders want to use.
When you say straight backwards, do you mean like dead behind, or do you mean like actually physically using the walk back?
Oh, I mean, like turn your character and run away. Yeah, I wouldn't like backpedal. That would take too long. Yeah, just turn
That's what I thought, just
180.
making sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is one of the scary pulls just because it had a bunch of everything. Had some casters, 4A bombs. So you just had to be really mindful. Again, I can't recommend this guy's video enough. It was wonderful, like how he went through it, what he did. He's a little dramatic of an individual, but it was very helpful. All right, we're on the boss. So, Kazragal. This is the mana boss. Oh, hi Zoe. So this boss is imperative if you are a mana user to be mindful of your mana. I believe there is a weak aura even in this spreadsheet. There's a weak aura, but also Zoe has linked one in our raid notes. But essentially, it's this mark of Kazragal that we're worried about. You get a mana burn applied to you. It lasts 5 seconds. It burns 3,000 mana over 5 seconds. So if you get this buff and your weak aura yells at you, it means you have less than 3,000 mana and you need to run away from everyone. Because if you hit 0 mana while you have this buff, you will explode for 11,000 damage to anybody near you. So if you have low mana, you're and you get this buff, you just need to run out of the raid and die. Obviously, you can use mana potions early to keep your mana nice and healthy. Warlocks can tap, blah 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 blah. But the short form, if you get this mark and you have under 3,000 mana, just run out of the raid because you will kill people. It does mention you can resist it with Shadow Riz. I don't think we're recommending that because that would be a lot of damage lost.
And a lot of mana lost because that gear doesn't have a lot of mana, so it's
very good point.
Problem.
I put the Shadow Res thing there because we are going to do the priest buff.
Oh, I see. Okay,
and that's helpful. Yeah.
Perfect.
We're not going to swap the Shadow Res sets. We are going to ask you, the priest, to put a buff up on the raid,
just to help with maybe getting a lucky. Yeah. So these cripples, I think, can be dispelled. I'm not 100% sure, but the big thing from melee is there's a frontal cleave. We split it around 2 tanks, and that was more or less fine. Does quite a lot of damage, though, healers, so really be watching the tank and the off tank. The War Stomp as well, another good fat boss. Stun for 5 seconds. So if your tank's stunned for 5 seconds, plus the Malevolent comes out, plus the melee hits, just make sure you're ready to pump the fuck out of them, because it's a lot of damage. And again, you just do not want to wipe. You want to be as safe as possible to get through these bosses, to get your save points, so you can just finish through. Because it is, I can't stress enough how frustrating it is to wipe in here. I really don't recommend it. And then, yeah, for our mages, for warlocks, for yada yada yada, watch your mana on this fight. It's very important. He casts this after 50 seconds, and then after 45 seconds, and then after 40, so on and so forth. So it's sort of like a soft enrage on the fight.
Yeah. My suggestion for running it for an arcane mage, try not to hit below 50 before you use whatever you need to get your mana back up. It's just not worth it. Because, yeah, with the amount of mana you use as arcane, 3k is dicey still.
Alright, so that's the War Stomp there. Just going to zoom back a bit here. It'll hit all melee. And then cleaves. So again, like when your tanks are stunned, just be pumping into them because they're going to take some damage. There's the mark that went out. So you can see everybody's mana is depleting. There's a cripple. It doesn't look dispellable. Okay. I didn't think it would be. Another cleave. They're sharing it between 3, but when Aaron and I shared it, it really didn't seem that bad.
I should also note, I don't know if you mentioned this, mages can ice block when they get the mark to not get their mana drained.
Yeah, there you go. This is another mark.
PSC, the reason they're doing 3 is because they don't have dual spec. So they have 3 tanks for the bombs and stuff.
Well, they're soaking with 3 though, right? You could still soak with 2 and just have whatever the cat go in the back there.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so
That's
they're
true.
just being
Yeah,
safe.
but you kind of want your fucking bear to be one of the people soaking, right? Like they're just made of health.
True. I mean, it's better to soak with 3, like just to get through it. Like I said, like you don't want to just have like a silly wipe or like cleave into parry haste melee or whatever and just like eats your tank to death. So that's another mark going out. So you can see people's mana is getting a little bit lower. Somebody just died there. Was that an explosion? No, it wasn't. Okay. Not sure what happened.
No, but one might be coming with that priest.
So again, you can see I don't think their damage was crazy good in this. But, you know, that's 2 marks that went out. They're more than fine. The next one's in 15 seconds. They've got plenty of time. Just kind of stay healthy, stay chill, be smart. That's the name of the game for this raid. There's the 3rd mark going out. This is a big one where you're going to make sure that you're not going to blow up your whole raid.
Yep, that shaman's about to blow.
So again, like Zoe said, boss is pretty straightforward in here. It's mostly just smartly getting through the trash. Should be the right spot. Asgalore trash, pretty straightforward as well. I think the new mob we get in here are the Infernals. The Infernals were far less scarier than I thought. Far less scary than I thought they were going to be. They basically just went after a bunch of the NPCs. We just grabbed them 1 or 2 at a time, burnt them down. They did a little AOE damage. It wasn't the end of the world. I think at first I tried to take 4 of them and died. So just slowly pulling them off of NPCs, I think, is the play. But you can see this first play. I think this is where their paladin dies. It's 6 necromancers into 6 abominations. That's a very scary pull. 8 gargoyles, relying again, 8 infernals, slowly getting it. Fell stalkers are the mana burning targets. So the more CC we can use on them, the better, just so our paladin doesn't lose all their mana. 6 more stalkers, 4 more abominations, necromancers. This is another scary pull. 6 necromancers, 6 banshees. That's 12 casters. Really good time for a mana bomb and line of sight. And then the rest are sort of a mix of the lot.
Yeah, and Blood Oath Racial's good on them too.
Yeah, exactly. Is this the one where he gets popped? I think it is that 12 caster pull. So again, there's lots of line of sight spots. We were using the Tauren tents behind us here, which were also very good, and we were using the tower, not this bunker. Just use whatever your raid leader tells you to use. Don't be fussy. These are the Infernals. They just sort of do pulsing AoE. They don't really have that much health. If you ever get aggro on something, just run to a tank. Preferably the Paladin. I'll also link this full clear if you want to watch the trash a little bit more thoroughly. These are the mana burning ads. Don't look, Aaron. The Paladin has Avenger Shield.
Oh, dismissed.
So yeah, more interrupts and stuns you can get on those, the better. Again, the Infernals. This is a little bit of a messy pull, but they get through it. There should be another Frostworm sometime soon. I want to see this 12 caster pack. I think it's after this one. You can see there, like even just 3 or 4 casters just free casting in the back. Just make sure we are all lining, all kicking, everybody is in charge of controlling these mobs, not just your tanks. Yeah, this is the poll. So these are 12 casters. Bam, dead. So it is very important. The casts themselves don't do a ton of damage, but it's just once there's four to six necromancers or like 6 banshees, that's when somebody can get one shot because the healers can't keep up with it. So once you see this pull, that's where we want to be arcane bombing. We want to be stunning, kicking, like line of sighting, so they're all nice and clumped. Like it's really, really important.
Just I may have missed this TFC, but did you mention also, just so people know, how fucking much threat those orcs out front hold, and that they're very difficult to pull off of them?
Yeah, the grunts. I did
Yeah.
notice that, which is fine. Like if a mob dies when a necromancer's out, it summons another mob. It really wasn't a big deal. Like just let them tank. It's not the end of the world. Obviously it's annoying when you can't get a caster in or something because the orc has it, but if they've got it, it's not a big deal. One of your tanks will go over and taunt it eventually. You can actually see the top there. But yeah, again,
I bring it up that there's no way basically anyone but a tank will pull it off. So
once again, key to the trash is just be very smart, be very safe. We just need people to live. Okay, so Asgalore. Go to our fancy guide. Again, this thing has a cleave. This is not a shared cleave. This is just a normal one. It will have a Howl of Asgalore, which silences for 5 seconds. Can be resisted. Rain of Fire, just move out of. Very straightforward. The main ability for this boss is Doom. Doom is super fun. Doom kills you after 20 seconds. When you die, you spawn a giant demon. You move it over to the NPCs just so you can kind of help bring it down. I don't even know if we killed this or not. I think we did, right? In the PTR.
We got everything down except for
You
Arkham.
ignore the ads. Just leave them on the
Yeah.
palette.
Okay.
You don't focus the ads.
Yeah.
I think I say DP ignore Doom Guards and Burn Boss.
yeah, he goes down pretty quick if you just focus him. He doesn't have
All
like
these,
AP.
yeah, all these bosses do because like the trash is technically part of the boss. So, this he did say something interesting on this boss specifically during that silence for healers, everybody. This is the last boss where once you kill this, there's no more trash. So playing safe through this boss is so important, especially for tanks, of just living through this dude. Use literally everything you have to during the silence, like just live. Over mitigate, whatever, because if you die as the tank on this, it's awful. Like you have to redo all that trash. So you might as well be safe, especially for the first 6 weeks or so as we kind of get comfy and better gear.
You probably want to soulstone the pally tank because if they get the doom, fun.
So for that, the way we did it last time around, because I was a warlock, you just keep your soul stones and put them on whoever gets doomed.
Exactly.
There's the doom
it
now.
gives you the extra battle reses to hit them.
And you have 20 seconds. You do have lots of time, but you'll see it here.
So warlocks
I
just
believe
sit
it's skull.
nearish the doom drop off target so that they can hit it with a soul stone.
Yeah, there goes the shaman. This should be skull. He's running into thrall, I think. There you go. So he died, and you can see in the background there. That's where the ad comes. So again, drag it over to thrall, let them kill it. And then you can see the tank's taking a beating, and then the silence goes out. So like, just make sure the tank is always topped. Is the silence on DBM? It is. Okay. So healers, you can prep for it. Rain of Fire, just make sure you're moving out of it. Pretty chill. The big thing is going to be dealing with the Doom Guard, making sure you're not in front, and just, again, play safe. You do not want to do all this twice. Zoe, my dear.
If Thrall is in combat healers, it's a good idea to just keep him focus targeted or something. Just because if he dies, the fight ends.
There is something to be said about just fighting this out on the road like we did on the PTR.
Yeah, I didn't hate that either. Like, and just dealing with the Doom Guards.
Yeah, we just so the Doom Guards are gonna live either way. Like the NPCs that that's what I was asking that night, and we can see here like they're still there. It doesn't really matter if the NPCs are on them. There just needs to be
with the road was that the Rain of Fire was really big as a ranged DPS for that. It was very hard to navigate around those Rain of Fires.
Well, if we have the melee on the back right foot to start, and the range can be if you're looking out of the road, on the left side of it, and I mean, of course, loosely spread, not tight or anything, because then the paladin can just sit off to the side in between the ranged and the tank with the ads, and then let's say your rested druid and your holy paladin or your designated tank healers can kind of sit in between the two tanks then, and everybody's trying to spread out in that regard, and I believe that would make it very easy for the Rain of Fires to be handled at that point. So that's at least how I was intending on doing it at night one. So
a little bit more easier to bait them. And then again, like, important for that boss, make sure that we kill it. Be safe with it, because then we're done. We don't have any more trash for the rest of the night, which is wonderful. All you got to do is kill this giant swordy bastard. This boss is kind of interesting. There is so much space to play with on this boss, and you're going to see why in a second. And that's important because like you want to use it. Don't try to like min max when you're getting an ability. Like just try to be nice and safe. Use the whole area. Like I said before, Archimond has less health than Gruul, so it's not a DPS race, and he dies at 10%. So the biggest thing he does is, I guess they're all pretty important, but has an ability called Air Burst. Air Burst is similar to just about any ability from the bosses, but it's a cast time. And with DBM, it should mark you as Skull. And so we're in pockets, little groups. We've got, let's say, 4 to 5 different groups. So if you get targeted with Skull, or someone near you gets targeted with a Skull, you can kind of move away from them so you don't get hit by Airburst. Because if you are close to them, you will both get knocked up in the air. It's not an end of the world. You're not going to take a ton of damage, but obviously the fewer people that get knocked up, the better. As you are falling, you will take fall damage, and you will die. You go a significantly high distance up. But we use a ability that you get from an item called Tears of the Goddess. And essentially you want to put that on your bars so you can hit it very easily. It gives you, I think it was about 2 seconds of slow fall. If you're an engineer, you can use parachutes and stuff too. And then if you're
slow fall also.
Yeah. You can charge back to the boss if you're fast enough, that sort of stuff. But for the most part, make sure you have a Tears of the Goddess and make sure you have access to it, that's super important as well. Don't be like fumbling trying to get it in your bag. And then you want to hit it, again, it gives you about 2 seconds of slow fall. So you want to hit it when you're near the ground, but not too high, not too low. It's a little bit of it wasn't terribly hard to get used to it, but just sort of be mindful. Don't cut it too close, especially. Doomfire, he's going to summon some fire on the ground, and it will move. I believe it targets someone, but
it does.
Yeah, okay. Essentially, it will chase, and it will leave like a trail of fire. Ideally, what I would recommend is once you get it and you know it's targeting you, sort of similar with the Frost Realms, just turn around and run straight out of the raid. So that way, all we're dealing with is a fire line going out. If you try to like circle it in a circle, it just reduces the space we have, especially melee. You don't want melee trying to like kite around the boss and then suddenly you're stuck in a ring of fire, like you're Johnny Cash or some shit. It'd be a terrible idea. Um, Fears, so you're going to want to make sure you're staying next to your shamans as best as you can. And then Visibility Grip of the Legion is super important. Obviously, it's doing a lot of damage. It needs to be decursed right away. But the big thing is if someone gets this grip and then they get air bursted, they're going to be taking damage while they're up in the air. Same with getting hit by the fire and getting a debuff. Suddenly, you're getting thrown through the air, which isn't going to kill you, but you've got a dot on you, and you're suddenly 80 yards away from any healer. So really, really watch your feet. Again, like that's why it's saying just play safe on this fight. Play as safe as you possibly can because dying on this fight is really, really, really bad. If you die on this fight, depending on your class, you are debuffing the raid to some degree. It's either a mana burn and damage, it's either pure damage, or it's a dot and damage. It's one of those three. Regardless, it's just so important not to die. So if you have a decurse, it takes priority over your cast, it takes priority over everything. Same with fears, shamans, making sure your totems are down, yada yada yada. Run the fires out. Just this whole raid is just be safe, be smart, get through it, move on to Black Temple so we can have some more fun.
Can I just add something about decurse really quick?
Sure.
And kind of that is it seems like we're gonna have probably 2 mages, 1 boomy for both groups, right? So main thing is, well, I'm assuming we'll likely do 3 groups then. Is even if you're stationed with a group, your responsibility is decursing absolutely anyone. The trees can help, but they have to shift out of tree form, so that's kind of last minute. Like if the tank needs it, but so even if it's someone not in your group, because we get blown around everywhere, it is still your job to decurse them. So any decurse that pops up on decursive or anything like that, just take care of it if you see it, because their decursor may be flung away.
Yeah. I have a couple notes on Archcommand, if that's okay, TFC. The first one is there is a weak aura for the tier that will tell you exactly when you need to click it, so you don't have to guess it when you're falling in the air. Especially, I know that we have a lot of people who have visual disabilities. So having that weak aura will just give you a very clear indicator of when you're supposed to do it, so you don't have to worry about depth perception stuff. The other thing is the Doomfire ability, which is the thing where he shoots it out and it follows a single person. If you are a paladin or a rogue or a mage, you can basically just remove that and stop it from chasing you by using a bubble, using ice block, or using your cloak abilities, respectively, based on your class. This is kind of a chaotic fight. Like the whole thing is that he fears you into the fire and you die and you get shot up in the air. It's kind of like a Clown Fiesta Mag Therodon style fight. So the more ways we have to mitigate that, the better. So please use your defensive abilities when those things happen. Yep.
Yeah, and again, if you get air bursted and you're away from your healers and you've got a dot or whatever, just use everything you can to survive and get back to the group. If you've got off heals, all that kind of stuff. It's just so important just to stay alive this whole raid, but especially on this boss. What he's going over here, he's just saying as far as where he would tank it, because this is very close to the tree. If you get knocked into the water, you are silenced for about 30 seconds. That includes, like, you can't attack anything. Pacified, I guess is probably a better word. So he was recommending just be a bit further out. Specifically for Aaron, I don't think this will make it to live, but a video I was watching today, some people are tanking by this tree here.
Yep, we're gonna do that.
You saw that and everything. Okay.
Yeah, if we get knocked back, this should be good, and could probably just send the bear on this one too, just to make it safer.
Yeah, so
he
they
did.
can charge. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're well the charge, but also like the bear does just take less damage, and so
Yeah.
there's no reason to like do it in a boss that hits super hard.
Yeah,
So.
the bear takes less damage because this boss doesn't crush. So. Yeah.
In case you missed that, that was the arms warrior running on the wrong way around the tree and dying. Don't do that. Alright, so they're getting into position.
And I hear the water is bad too.
So there's the fire. You saw it spawn there, and then it's slowly moving towards someone. And then you can see them getting into their groups. Send out a res. Can you see the cast? There, you can see it here. So it's about a 1.7-second cast to interact with Airburst. So just kind of be ready when it's coming out. Watch where the skull is. You can see people moving away from the skull here. If we can get one person hit by this every time, it's wonderful. Another fire. Repositions. Someone's hot micing. If you could mute, please. Another fire. You could see there someone got muted or feared into the fire. I could see that. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. So obviously the tremor is going to take a while to tick. You could see they got feared right there into the fire. So just kind of realize that can happen. And you can see how like they're going right around the boss like this, and now this whole section is cut off. So that's sort of what we want to try to avoid. Do not run like this with the fire, because that is just killing the space that we have to use and utilize. Again, just very chill, very safe. Stay with your shaman, stay with your group. Getting these dispels out, repositioning for the fires, staying alive, killing the boss. Another fear. And then you can see the fire does dissipate after a while, but still important to run it straight back like these people are doing, not like that person just did back there. Of course, it's a mage.
Whoa, what's that mage thunder? Another fear. So again, it's very straightforward. It's very articulated on what's going to happen. You can react to things. You know when fire's coming out, so you can kind of be away from it. You know when fear is coming out, so you can put yourself in a good spot. You can kind of lose a little bit of uptime just to play safe, so that we can kind of easily get through this boss. Another air burst. You can see how quick it is though, like watch it going out on that skull target and then it gets shot. So if you're quick, you can move away from skull, but you do have to be ready for it coming off of cooldown through the use of something like DBM. Again, someone running in a circle, not just back. Just please lose DPS uptime. And then they're
cutting close. Once he gets to about 10%, the tree starts killing him, which is kind of hilarious. Another fear coming out. Fire running back straight, which is good. And all their shamans are marked, which I believe we're doing as well, which is super helpful. And then here is the RP. So there's a lot going on, but if you just play very smart, you can easily get through this without any complications. If you're reacting to the fire, you don't take a tick. Perfect. Super helpful. For dispelling right away, perfect. It's just all about playing safe, playing quickly. And he dies. And that's Igel. It is long, arduous, pain in the ass, but not hard.
Archimond or Archimond?
Well,
It's Archimond.
I'm pretty sure it's a G kick if you say Archimond, but I'm not in charge.
That is actually the first thing that TFC has said that's been correct ever in his life.
I have a clip that says otherwise. All
What
right.
you're saying is we should ignore everything he's saying right now?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take 5 minutes so people can go chill and pee and do whatever they got to do. And then I'll be back like 20 after just to start Black Temple.
Yay.
I wish they gave Warlocks Finger of Doom. Such a fun name spell.
While TFC is gone, this is Zoe's friendly reminder to get all those helpful weak auras that are located in the document. They'll help you not die. It'll help Erin not lose her hair and go insane, explaining that they need to click their tier.
Never.
Go ahead and download those.
I vote for losing hair.
Yeah, I want
I've
to
heard
see Aaron go bald.
insanity.
It's been a long time growing my hair.
Never, because I've never used them and I've done fine. So
No. It's as long as you have like DMM or big wigs. But like the weak auras are very helpful. I just want to emphasize how helpful they are.
no, they really are very helpful. I've just gotten used to playing without them from previous iterations. So definitely go get them. They're super helpful.
All right. So who's excited for Hydro?
I'm excited for Black Temple.
I'm excited for
Yes.
7 hours of trash farming on day 1. Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Gotta get honored on my hunter at the very least. And then I can live there on my warlock forever.
Goddamn right, Hatters. I'm right there with you. Like, I assume like Aaron and I briefly talked about this, which is that there's going to be trash farms probably the first week for the rep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the first night it comes out, since our schedule is limited, that's why we're sending the one big sign up and everything. So from a hydro trash farm standpoint, unless you're farming it the day of well, it releases in the evening, so you're not farming hydro the first week on your main character, but or like the release week, but the first full week, sure, let's do it.
That's what I was referring to. I wasn't counting the little half week, Aaron.
Just hey, you gotta specify.
Gotta specify. Got it. Oh, yes, ma'am. I'll set up a 6 a.m. Eastern hydro farm just for you, Aaron.
Just throwing the videos that I was using in our little VC chat here. Again, the first one is very, very good. He is a little bit of a dweeb, but he is very good at explaining everything. And he's only like kind of toxic.
TFC, you're only kind of toxic too.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Aaron. Oh my god.
Damn, Aaron, that's kind of toxic.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
It's the only one you'll ever get.
Alright. Now for the real reason we're raiding in Phase 3. The Temple of Karabdur, whatever it is. Karabor?
Karabor.
Thank you. Alright,
mispronouncing things is a straight way to tilt me off a cliff.
I asked.
And it still hurts. But continue, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I have 2 different views for each boss. We will not watch both of them, but some of them were better than others. And then again, for the guide that our lovely Zoe found, it has a very clear paths. It has what each mob does, what we can skip. I don't know if we'll be skipping all this. Probably not. Especially not the first week, but it outlines like what each pull does. He does this well in this video, which is really helpful. What you can kick, what you can not kick, what needs to be pushed away from the raid, blah 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 blah. Very, very helpful. And then again, for the next area, all the mobs you have to pull, what the bosses do. Really, really good guide, this. For the first area, it seemed pretty straightforward. There's a couple frontals, tanks that we have to be worried about. And then melee or DPS in general, probably healers. These little spawns can kind of just come off of these mobs, and they also pat. If you ever pull any, they're not very dangerous, but just run them to a tank. Don't make us chase you, please. So we'll look at some trash pulls quick. By the way, if you can see the video that he's watching, this was a 10-hour long PTR puck. I don't know if he was doing it like at a BlizzCon or something. Yeah. Like I don't know if he was doing it at a BlizzCon or what it was, but he doesn't show all the wipes, but this is just a review, but I'm pretty sure they wiped like 20 times on some bosses. I think that's his group though, not like the difficulty of the content. These Lords of a Frontal. You can see the little spawns some spawns in the right there. If you pull them, just run to the tank. None of the trash seemed super, super dangerous in here. It obviously like needs to be done properly. But there wasn't anything that seemed like crazy scary. Apologies for the flashbang. I believe he skipped that group. No, there we go. I think I wrote something down for the Leviathan specifically. Oh yes, the Leviathans also have a tail whip. So treat them like a dragon for melee. These generals can bestial and rage. It didn't look like it was that big of a deal. Another Leviathan, some more spawns. Oh yes, these things wiped them. This collection of spawns here can do like big novas. So they pull them around the corner here. Yeah, these sludge novas. So I think early on they just pulled them and they just kept casting. They didn't kind of like line of sight them in properly. So get them here, and this is where you want to stun and like control the pull as much as you can, and then start AoEing.
Saw a really clean bubble pull on the PTR run that we did of this.
Oh yeah,
and
there you go.
Yeah,
that'll work. And then you can see like a couple sledges get off in the wrong time, and like a lot of people can drop. So control is important on that one pull. It's something to be mindful for. This one we send some CC on. That turtle mob that he's talking about can apparently change. It'll be a different mob every week, sort of thing. But it didn't seem like it made much of a difference. So we got some CCs out. And then you're dealing with two of these lords. Just make sure they're faced away. If they spawn little dudes at some point. There they are. Alright, Supremus. I think I liked this pull better. Supremus has, we'll go to this. Nope, Nagentis. There we go. So Nagentis has two important abilities. Other ones are also important, but the two main ones that are going to kind of make or break this fight. So there is a slight spread with Needle Spine. Just make sure you're sort of 6 yards away. Might have two melee camps sort of thing. You might be able to get away with it with melee depending on how many we got, but range, just make sure you're spread 6 yards apart. But you kind of have to need like a partner to some degree, because the next ability, Impaling Spine, is super important. He basically throws his arm. You can see that giant thing he's got on his arm. He throws that at a player and pins them to the ground. You have to run over and click on this thing to get it off the player. When you do, you get an item in your bag, which will be important for the next ability, which is Tidal Shield. He pops an immunity shield and starts regenerating 1% health per second, and you're going to use that item in your bag to break the shield. However, when you break the shield, it does this ability here, Tidal Burst, which you can see does 8,500 damage to the entire raid. You will see it is a clusterfuck of damage. So you have to make sure before you break the shield that everybody is topped up and everybody is ready to take this damage. So if you have this spine in your bag, and there might be multiple, wait for the raid leader's call, or whoever it is. If it's a main healer, whoever it is, when they call, then you can throw it. If you just willy-nilly throw this, you are going to kill people. The other aspect is if you have low health, just based on the gear that you're using for this fight, you might want to look at some stam gear, a stam trinket, whatever it is, to make sure you can live through that burst. Because it is 8,500 damage. That is no joke. So again, you can see everybody's nice and spread out. Little raid damage going out here and there. There's the throw. So you can see it targeted that person in the back on skull. Someone needs to go over and click that to free them. So you can see that they did right over back here, and the fight continues. Another spine here. This person needs to be clicked on. They get it. Perfect. I don't think there's a third. Yeah, you can see title shields coming out here. So there's another spine, and then there's the shield. So this will generate 1% health per second, so we do want to break this as fast as we can, but if you look at the raid, you've got this person will die, this person might die, this person will die, this person will die, so you can't throw it right away. You've got to get everybody topped, and then someone calls for it. And then when they call, you'll see that the bubble is going to get broken. There it is. Now look at how much damage everybody just took. Like if you go back, watch this initial break. Like this person went from full to like 1% health. This person died 5%, 5%, maybe 8%, 5%. Like you really have to make sure you have enough health, and healers, you have to be ready as soon as that bursts. You have like a chain heal prepped. You have circle of healing prepped, like just to get everybody nice and topped off. It's a lot of damage. You'll be laughing if you can wear some extra stam gear, PvP gear, that sort of thing. Again, just make sure you take that spine off very quickly. Run back to your position. That's an unfortunate onk from that shaman. Health stones as well are super helpful. We should be getting another shield here soon. So again, do not get hasty with the burst. Wait for your healers to call it. See, they just killed at least 3 people with that burst. So you really got to wait for the call. And make sure you know you have it in your bag. It looks like there's a couple that get sent out for each bubble, but just be mindful if you're the one who has it. And DPS, there's a lot of healing in this fight, so if you see someone gets impaled, do not assume you the healer will go do it. Just go help. I believe they get them before the next burst, but maybe not. Yeah, they didn't. Okay. So again, just make sure everyone's healthy. They did not. Lost a couple people, but they're able to kill them. So when we don't want our raid to look like this by the end of it, just make sure you're listening for that call out. Make sure everybody's nice and healthy, and make sure you yourself are healthy too. If you see that spine flying in the air towards the shield and you're at 80% health, make sure you pop something. Yeah. All right. So Supremus trash. This is this whole courtyard area. We don't have to pull. Please stop doing that. We don't have to pull everything in here. We have to pull most things. This dragon that's attacking them is similar to the frost worms from Hyjal. if you have aggro on this thing, just run in a straight line backwards, and they will slowly follow you and descend as well, so that melee can help. There you go. See how he landed down? I think the person ran inside, that's why he ran away, but just make sure you are running backwards. Specifically for this trash, these taskmasters will have an enrage ability, but we'll just focus them down. The dragons, like I said. The fear bringers, which I think are the big guys. Yeah. They'll have a frontal. They'll have a stun. Good time for free action potions from the tanks. And then they'll have like AoE they set on the ground that you'll have to move out of. They did wipe. Like I said, it was 10 hours, which I find is insane. These worm callers will actually just pull dragons down. So once you pull these worm collars, it'll just, anything in the vicinity will come down. So just be ready for that. And then again, if you have a dragon on you, just keep aggro and just run backwards, and they will slowly fall down. So melee can hit it, but also, the tanks. And there's that Reign of Chaos. That's what you need to move out of. He did mention that Supremus's pull range is very small, so you don't have to be too worried. You obviously don't want to like risk it, but you can kind of pull mobs close to him and stuff. This is the frontal. Again, just focus the Taskmaster down. I don't think he does a terrible amount of damage. I don't think this pulled. They need to pull this. Maybe they do. I think he's just sort of being overzealous to show off what he's doing in this pull, but okay. I think I liked his Supremus a little better. Besides, tank POVs are always more fun. Supremus has a couple things that he does. Big one is a Hateful Strike. It's an interesting Hateful Strike because it's whoever has the most health between the second and third highest threat. Obviously, hopefully that's tanks. So we might run 3 just to be safe, but healers, what that means is the off tank needs to be healed right away, because if the off tank gets Hateful Striked, takes a Molten Flame, and then there's another Hateful Strike, if they have less health than at the next highest DPS, the DPS is dead. So just sort of really make sure if you are doing, even with 3, just the off tanks need to be topped pretty quickly with Hatefuls. Molten Flame is just a ground effect we need to avoid. That's from this ability Molten Punch, which you sort of just move around. These volcanic geysers are pretty important. It's about a 15-yard range, and it says it does about 4,500 damage per second. It did look very dangerous in the video we're going to watch. So as soon as you see one, don't greed, just run away very quickly. Really helps. And then that's P1, and then for P2 is this Fixate. This Fixate is a little scary. It chooses a target, it runs after you. You can outrun the boss pretty easily. I don't think you need movement speed, but you do not want to be more than 40 yards away. This includes anybody, by the way, because he fixates for about 10 seconds and then he will swap. And if you're 40 yards away when he swaps and you get targeted, he will charge you. And then you're in a lot of trouble. So just between 5 and 40 yards, slowly kite him around. And then one thing he mentions in his video, which is super helpful, is he keeps this middle section clear so everybody doesn't go in the middle section, and then there's no spawns in that section. So like there's no volcanic geysers. So once the phase ends, you just kite him in a circle, on the outside. Once the phase ends, you can just run back into the middle and it's completely safe, which I thought was a good idea. But the big thing is the fixate. Just make sure you're not too far away and make sure you're ready to kite. Similar to Thalaged.
With the fixate, just to emphasize, right before it ends, you want to stop DPS just so you can. Same thing with Leo and all the other fights that have like threat resets, just to allow the tanks to reestablish their aggro. You don't want to accidentally pick something up and get fucking bonked.
Is it? It's a threat reset between the phases. I forgot about that. Yeah. I guess we'll see in a second here, but so you can see the fire there. Pretty easy to avoid. Just kind of make sure you're looking out for it, and then you can see the second warrior when he gets bopped with the hateful. Like he's taking a good chunk. So healers, just make sure you're ready to top them up. It looks like you've got some time, but just be safe. All right, then this is the fixate. You can see super slow boss. You've got time to run away. You just have to be on the ball. And then we should see some... there you go. There's a volcano right there. I'll see if I can get a better shot of it. There. So this 15 yards around this, you're just taking constant damage in this. Just run out immediately. It's a lot of damage. You can see they're kiting around the outside. Fixate's going to end soon. And that was the charge. So you do not want to be more than...
all the threat disappeared after the fixate dropped, so you want to stop that thing.
Yeah, I did. Okay. No, he's still fixating right now. But the threat is reset, so... Okay. And he's still fixating. No, now it's going. Yeah, so it's a threat reset. So you just have to be mindful for that. I mean, that second phase is just play smart and live. Like, watch your fixate, kite the boss, watch the volcanoes so we can kind of get back to the standard P1. Move from fire. That's a great view, thank you. The big thing, I believe, is just going to be the fixate phase. Everyone's just going to have to play super smart with it. People can't be too far. Kite them around the outside. Watch the transitions.
If I may interject, TSC, if I remember correctly from last CBC, it's like what, 30 yards is as far as you want to go?
40 he will charge.
40?
Yeah, so honestly 30 is probably a better number to have in your head because then you have some leeway. And that's it, you just kite them around the outside, be a DPS swap here, picks a new target, kite them around the outside. You also see why you clear so much of the trash, because you need the room. Watch the fire, watch the volcanoes. Not a terribly difficult boss, just have to be smart, watch your transitions. We get to hit some dude's feet for 4 minutes, isn't that fun? A little messy. And then that fire is very easy to dodge. Definitely don't want to be taking extra damage like right before a having to run phase, or especially warriors or tanks. Shade's next. Yeah, okay. There we go. All right, so we talked all about this. All the different things. This is like the fighting area he was talking about. And then this is going into the temple itself. So I was hoping we would get to double check this, but in Black Temple, apparently, after you kill the first, or maybe Supremus, I think it is Supremus, there is a teleport that opens if you run back towards the beginning of the entrance past the first boss, Agentis, talk to an NPC, and they will actually teleport you here, where all of the Ashsworn quartermaster is. There's like a repair place, all that stuff. So they actually recommend doing that, and then you can just start your pull from here, and not pull these big groups at the front, which they are going to do in the video we're watching. You'll see they're a little scary, and then they do the teleports. So I'm not sure what we're going to do, but it is food for thought.
Those mobs, those Ashsworn mobs, don't spawn until you kill Shade.
It looked like it was because you'll see it here that they can use it after Supremus.
The
Shade
mobs
makes
are there,
some of the
but they're
mobs
angry.
neutral.
Or yeah,
Yeah. But you can talk to some of them. There, we'll skip ahead here.
There's 3 vendors in the battles where you get the Shadow Res recipes and stuff like that. But
yeah, so
these
they do
paths
this
up here are absolute ass. So if there is a way to skip them, the only reason I'm hesitant for trash skips is because we need the marts for haste pots and flasks.
Maybe the first few weeks we don't do the skip, but in future weeks we probably will do the skip kind of thing.
I think they butt pull or oh, it's here. They're talking about this wolf, which I know somebody mentioned a tech for them, but
oh yeah, it's really cool actually. So the wolf can see stealth and the other mobs can't. So the way we did it in the PTR is a mage invised and ran up to it, pulled just the wolf out because the wolf has a super big aggro range and will
yeah, like if you look
social
here,
the rest if you're all out there. Yeah,
like watch right there, he pulls the wolf from there.
Yep.
It's no joke. Like that's wild. I think this is where they wipe because he doesn't realize this mob's coming.
Yeah, just these pets are awful. The patrol is disgusting. The big dreadlord is everything is awful. So the room just needs to be clean.
Yeah, so if you watch him here, he goes in. So this is just after Supremus. They haven't killed Shade. There's already an NPC there that he can talk to. Now, this is PTR from 4 years ago, so grain of salt and all that, but so we could go back and start our pulls there. It is cool, cool tech for that wolf though. That's pretty sweet. And then this should bring you right towards this. Now, obviously, you've still got pats and stuff here, but plus there's the invis packs. But worth noting. So yeah, that was the poll here. This is a pretty extensive poll, but these ones here are a lot more chill. There's like 3 here. There's 3 invisible packs altogether. There's a patrol, a couple patrols. This is the wolf one. So we'll sort of watch them go through all this. There's a bunch of frontals. So the Centurions, the Heartseekers, Battle Lords, Primalists, they all have a frontal. The Bone Slicers will have a gouge for the tanks. So Paladins using a Blessing of Sacrifice, not a bad idea. And make sure your off tank has aggro on the Bone Slicer, similar to Kara. Just make sure you have like first and second threat. Mystics, I think, have an elemental totem similar to SSC. You'll want to focus that down immediately. The Night Lords, which are the big guys, they will have a fear. We'll need tremors for. And they can spawn ads. It shows later after one of the, I think it's after his Gorfian kill. And then the wolf has a super large range, as Aaron was saying. Like, we have some tech for that, so we'll just watch some of these Trash pulls. He's sort of just explaining the skip. And he finds some invisible dudes. These stalkers aren't really much. And then this is the Primalist pull. Come on. Again, this is like a really, really good video. Kind of goes through all the trash and highly recommend it. Battle Lords are one of the frontal mobs. From what I saw, a lot of this trash is pretty straightforward. There should be another invis pack. Maybe not. There it is. So again, Mystic, you want to kill the totems really quick. We can CC if we want to. That's the Night Lord I was talking about. Some more invis. And then once we kill a comma, I think some of these are neutral. We can still kill them for rep, I think, but yeah, he's just talking about this Night Lord mob. So this is the one that has a fear we got to be mindful of. The Bone Slicers are the ones that'll gouge the tanks. This is like a hunter with a multi-shot frontal. And then again, he's talking about the range of this wolf. But it won't be a problem with us. Just be very, very careful when you're walking near that. Yeah, so he just pulls it just like that. Like it is way bigger than we think. And then, yeah, another Battle Lord, a Mystic, a Primalist, Stormcaller, just needs a kick. The totem's down. But again, I don't think the trash is, as long as you're respecting it, I don't think it is terribly punishing. And nice to get some rip. What were these brutes again? These are Centurions? Yeah. Yeah, the Centurions just have a cleaving frontal. You want to focus away. Heartseeker's similar thing. Looks like they banished 3 of them. AoE mob. There should be a couple more packs in here. And we'll get to a comma. I don't think there's no new ones. It's all just the same that we've faced. But again, some CC, some prio targets, and we're good to go. So yeah, Cyclone Totem, Windfury Totem, Searing Totem, they're all like pretty important. Pesky Shamans. I will skip through that, a couple more. Alright, we will get to a comma. I think I like this one better. It's a very much a tank oriented pull, but Akama is kind of interesting. There's two groups of ads that are coming out, left and right, and then there is like a group of 5 channelers up here, and the channelers are what is keeping the Shade of Akama from being hit. Basically, it's phase 1. And essentially, DPS is solely going to focus on the channelers, and then tanks, maybe a kicker, and healers are going to deal with the left and right ads. There's some tech where you can bring an ad, specifically one of the melee ones from the right side, it looks like they were spawning, into the group so that Warlock can seed off of it, and that should help slowly kill the channelers down. And then there are a healer mob that cannot be tanked that'll run in that you guys just have to focus down as well as it comes in. And then once we kill all of the channelers, it will spawn phase 2. You can see here there's a list of all the mobs and what they can do. Pretty straightforward. You know, there's a caster with an AoE. There's a big melee one that has a shield bash. There's a rogue that can put poisons on the tank. This is the healer. These are the channelers. They're pretty straightforward. So phase 2, he starts walking towards Akama. Akama will tank this boss. There is no tank for him. As soon as he is targetable, that's where you like pop less, all your CDs, yada yada, and you just go to town. And then we have, it's like 60 seconds, I think you have to kill the boss at that point before he kills Akama. So these are just ignored. Left and right ads are just kind of constantly tanked and kited. Hunters, you're going to use your traps. Shamans, earth totems, yada yada, to help the tanks just kite and keep aggro while you guys kill the boss. Seems like an interesting fight. Seems like a lot of fun. Actually, I'm going to watch this one. I lied. Yeah, 60 seconds. Yeah. So you should see, I'm hoping you'll see some of the ads run to the channelers. And those will be the healers that have to be killed, but also there's a certain mob that's the best one to kite into the channelers to seed off of if we're going to do that. It's the one with red shoulders. That right there, that's the healer running up, so that cannot be tanked. You just sort of have to deal with that as DPS. And we should see, yeah, there you go. There's some fighting right on Akama there. Right in the center there, you can see there's a mob with a shield. This one here is what they recommend bringing up into the group to seed off of if we do want to do that. But it doesn't seem like the channelers have all that much health. And then you can see that traps are down to help the tanks kite, because DPS are going to be solely focusing. So you can, this is the boss. So all the channelers are dead. It is now going towards Akama. And once that is targetable, you have 60 seconds to kill. So again, more ads are coming out. Tanks are picking it up. A couple healers. Bam, right there. So as soon as he starts attacking, 60-second countdown. You gotta drums, lust, all that good stuff, and just burn them. Tanks just play keep away, and DPS do their thing. You're still dodging like rain of fires from the mobs. Casters, don't get too close to those shield mobs because they will interrupt you. And that's it. Pretty straightforward fight. All right.
We called him Shade of Pinata because he's kind of a loot pinata.
Yeah, there you go. Nothing wrong with a loot pinata. Oh, and then the fun one. This trash didn't seem that terrible either. This is, you can kind of skip some of these mobs There's some in the corner. This group here, if you hug the wall, like I think Zoe said, we probably aren't doing that in the first couple weeks because we want the rep. But once we get to that point, just really be careful about hugging walls. Don't be that person that pulls the group. You'll be very upset. And then Aaron will make fun of you for like 6 weeks. It would be horrible. So there's some notables trash wise. The champion mobs will throw like a whirlwinding thing on the ground. You just sort of move out of it. It's not really a huge deal. Blood mages will have a frontal. Flayers will have a fixate. So if you get fixated, just make sure you're running. And again, don't run into another pack. The weapon masters, which we'll see in a sec here, can switch between having a mortal strike, a whirlwind, or an enrage, sort of like a warrior. Kind of just depends on what their stance is. And then the Hand of Gore Fiends, which are right before the boss, are immune to taunt with a cleave. So melee or DPS, you're really going to have to watch your threat. We'll watch a bit of trash here. Alright, so that's the champion. Some reavers. Do you see that weapon go out? I think it goes to the bottom of the stairs, if I remember. There it is, Whirling Blade. Yeah, you can see it down there. You just sort of have to avoid it. Yeah, you can see it spin in there. It looks very pretty. Just make sure you're out of that. These other ones are pretty chill. Oh god, he needs to stop flashbanging. The Houndmasters summon wolves, I'm pretty sure. So just make sure you're. It's sort of similar to what's it called? Like all the wolves and Shattered Halls, all that good stuff. Like just make sure you focus the wolves down. They'll have less health, and they will put bleeds, I think, on the tanks. So again, summon some more hounds.
Rend armor.
I think I'd prefer a bleed. He mentioned this is awkward because of the stairs, because you don't want to pull that other group on the side. So you can kind of see getting this set up is a little bit awkward, like as far as like CCs and stuff. These mages are a frontal that you don't want to hit anybody else. So it's a little awkward. And then the champions are going to throw a whirlwind somewhere that you're going to have to dodge. Like it's a little bit awkward of a pull. So you're just going to have to be smart about it. And then you can kind of see as he pans his camera how close that other group is. Like they ended up ninja pulling that group. Yeah, right there. So just, try to bring them down the stairs as much as we can if we are skipping. Even if you're not, just to kind of only pull the one group. And again, some CCs, some Warhounds, some Champions. The Reavers are the I think they were just a scary mob. The Square is the Weapon Master, the one that can change stances and really hurt your tank. This giant skeleton is sort of just a big mob. The Flayer, I think. Yeah, this is the Flayer, okay. So this is the one with the fixate.
Respect for the Bone Man.
There it is, that's the fixate. And it has a cleave, so as it's running, just make sure you're staying away from it. And some casters. Warhound Grandmasters. There's a fair amount of trash in this section, but it did seem to go by pretty quickly, which was nice. So those small ads just sort of fall over, but I would let the paladin get it still. There you go. He's showing the Berserker aura. I think these things can really hurt your tank, so healers just watch. Be careful. There's the whirlwind. 15-second whirlwind. Give me a break. It's like they just hate melee. Another champion, some Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's a reason why we asked everybody to play ranged.
Very true. Very true. You can also skip this next pack before the boss, but even he didn't really recommend it. Said it was a little sketchy. Alright, so these are the Hands of Gorfiends. These are the ones taunt immune. We really have to be careful with them. You want to just be smart, don't pull aggro. And then these two specifically in front of the boss, they basically recommend using them to like pool resources to go into Gorfiend with. And just sort of like use that as like in your head, sort of keep that in the back of your mind, sort of like Hydros. I just want to see them pull this, and then we'll watch a little ghost video. Does he just skip ahead? He might just skip ahead. Okay. All right. I'm going to unmute this one because I think they explained it fairly well. Gorfiend. So Gorfiend has a couple things. He has these Doom Blossoms that he spawns. Essentially, it is a soft enrage, so we really shouldn't have to worry about them unless we just are taking too long. So too many people die. Fight takes too long, then we start to notice them. It's just passive damage on the raid that he spawns more and more of them over time. There's an Incinerate. Make sure you're dispelling. I believe it's magic. And there is more kind of like general shadow damage that goes out. Really wasn't that big of a deal from what I saw. The big thing is Shadow of Death. Shadow of Death is the be-all and end-all of this fight. This is what's spawning the ghost. This is what Zoe was right for yelling at everybody to play that mini game. It is very, very important and very annoying. So we'll see in a second here, but essentially you get a debuff for 55 seconds. After 55 seconds, you die, similar to Doom from Hyjal, and you spawn into a Vengeful Ghost. And when you spawn into a Vengeful Ghost, 4 actual ghosts spawn around you, and they run towards the raid and try to wipe everybody. And your job as a Vengeful Ghost is to kill them for killing you. So what is recommended, as you can see down here, it's a couple things. So first, number 5 is your big hitting ability. It does a ton of AoE damage, has about a 15-second cooldown, so you want to get that on cooldown right away. And then you want to use number 4, which is your Frost Nova. CCs them all in place. And then number 3 is your single target slow. So essentially what you're doing is you're using number 5 to get it on cooldown, deal damage to them, number 4 to root them in place, and then one by one you are breaking the Frost Nova with number 3, and you are slowing each target once, and then you're slowing each target again, tabbing through them, and then you're slowing each target a third time to get them, they move about 90% slower. And then by the time that happens, your 5 should be off cooldown again. You can press it, you can slow them, you can Frost Nova them again, and then you're back into just using 3 and tabbing through. And you just play, when you play the mini game, and we'll watch this in a sec, it'll make a lot more sense. But the one thing I will say is, like it says here, make sure your pet bar is active. Make sure you know how to use it, that you can interact with it, because it is a pet. Another thing that they recommend you can do is you can write macros into your abilities. So like your 1, 2, 3, 4, you can say like /use pet bar 5 or pet bar 4 or whatever it was. If that's easier for you and you're worried, depending on what add-ons you use, that you can't interact with whatever pet.
QC, can I interrupt very briefly?
Yeah, go ahead.
if you are unsure if you are going to be able to do the mini game, like because you have like LVOI or something, or like you have some specific add-ons that change your bars or stuff, you can test to see if you will get the pet bar like icons correctly by just going and picking up a steam tonk from the auction house for like 5 gold or whatever, and using it and seeing if the abilities of the steam tonk pop up. And then you can know adjust anything before raid.
Yeah. It's so important because if you don't do this and like nobody like after the first person does this, they stay a ghost and they can like DPS the boss and then they can help the next person. But if you are the first person who gets this and you don't do this, we just die. So it's so unbelievably important. You can't just say, "Oh, like I'll just hope somebody else gets it." Like if you get this, you need to do it properly. So you can see this person waits till like 8 seconds. I might give yourself a little bit more time than that. But you do have 55 seconds from getting it. It's not a surprise. And you can see they run right to the corner, and then you are a ghost. So you saw he did the big AoE first, and then he rooted them in place, and then he's tabbing through and slowing. And then he's just slowly backing up, tabbing between. You can see here there's a debuff that he's putting on this mob with his main ability. That's what's slowing, and it stacks. So when he targets it again, 3 stacks, it's about a 9-second cooldown, or 9-second debuff. So you have to like tab through all 4 within 9 seconds, which is very doable. And then look at how slow this is. As soon as you do that, it's so slow, it's not going anywhere. And then the next thing, so again, he's hitting his 5 button and then he's going to root them in place. But because this is a stacking debuff, while you're doing this, make sure that this first target that you're hitting with your single target does not lose its stack. Slowing them to 90% slow is way more important than anything else, just keeping them nice and slow. So you can see there it has about 3 seconds left. So you have time, but if you're finding it's too quick for you, I almost wouldn't even root. I would just go back to slowing to save your GCD. So it's not terribly difficult. It just is going to take some time to get used to. I'll also link this if you want to. I thought this was very helpful to actually see it. The minigame's nice, but I'm a visual person. I need to see like what it's going to look like. I think their Gorfeigned was a little messy, but yeah, we'll watch this. The rest of Gorfeigned is pretty straightforward. It's just making sure that everybody has the individual responsibility of, I know how these ghosts work. Just establish threat. So you can see there, 55-second debuff on this person on the bottom frame. That is who's going to spawn the first ghost. So you know basically at the start of the fight who's it's going on. So you still get your lust, you still get DPS, all that good stuff. So don't worry about that. And then once that's over, just run to the corner, do your thing. Pretend you can haunt that relative that you despise.
Ghost does have an ability that helps with boss damage a bit.
It does have some other ones, yeah, but I think to not confuse people, I just sort of talked about the 3.
Yeah, it's not major.
Also, you can see, like, where's this person running out? Probably soon. And the boss is almost at 50%. So, and then the second the second buff just went out on that person on this hunter, I believe, down here. So you're gonna probably get at least 2. So again, if you're the first ghost, you can help with the second one. Obviously,
yeah, by the end of the
go ahead.
phase last time, you were only having 1 ghost. So he doesn't have a ton of hit points.
Yeah, I don't remember this being super challenging, but I did it on the PTR. I just want to see if this kill, we can see a little bit more of the fight. It's obviously not much to see unless you're a ghost, but healers always stand in the worst spots. That's a little better. This is the Death Blossom I was talking about, so this is randomly shooting people. Once you have 5 or 6 of them, that's when the damage starts to pile up for healers to heal the raid. But it is pretty negligible. But again, pretty straightforward. A little bit of AoE damage going out. Not too bad. You can see it tracks. Yeah, it's on that priest in the bottom right. First ghost is out. You can see some people getting low, some AoE damage, a little bit of spot healing for the healers. Another ghost going out. But again, the main thing in this is just handle the ghosts, do the ghosts, know how to do the ghosts, be comfortable with the ghosts. Be the ghost. And they're up to like 4 blossoms there just from their kill time, which is just over 2 minutes right now. And other than that, pretty straightforward. Not much to this kill. Again, can't stress enough, just make sure you're comfortable doing this. And if you're not, reach out for help. There's some people who have done it in the past, some of us that have kind of just watched a bunch of it. We'll all get through it. Alright. After this, there's some options, I think, as far as like where you can go. I think most people just kind of scooch down to the left and kill Blood Boil first. I'm pretty sure Blood Boil is the one that they wiped on like 20 times. Yeah, that's about all I wanted to talk about. So for Gurtog Blood Boil, you have a couple guys that cleave. There's some bigger dudes here that kind of look scary, but they mostly just do a cleave. The disciples are taunt immune and have a like a big shield DR that they do, which is kind of annoying to kill them. The behemoths will have either a charge and a stun on a random player, and I think they melee them as well, or they cast a meteor similar to Architraves. So you kind of just need to stack for the meteor just in case, and then spread for the charge. It depends on the mob. I think each mob only does one or the other. And then some more blood prophets, which do a nasty frontal. Kind of goes, and he goes through all the individual trash. And so they had here. Oh yeah, he sees. Just shows the ads I was talking about before. So this is the fear. And it should spawn a bunch. There they are. So again, just run these to your paladin. They die pretty much immediately. Warlocks, be careful. You greedy mother. Alright, so we've got the blade flurries. Face away with the cleave. There's so many cleaves in this place, so just be really careful with the pulling threat on mobs, but also positioning on mobs. And then this is the behemoth I was talking about. So this one charges and whacks somebody. So this you'll want to spread for. Basically, once you see what ability it uses, I think you know what that mob does. Similar to the dudes, the big dudes in SSC. The fun guy. I think this one should be Meteor. One of these does a Meteor. We get to see it. Those shield ones, the ones I was talking about, they will have a big DR. They're immune to taunt. Just be very careful with them. They just take a while to kill once they pop their shield wall or whatever. That Blood Prophet is the one, yeah, that'll have a nasty frontal. You want to kind of make sure it's only hitting the tanks, and a cast to kind of get it in. I think it's that Blood Drain ability, possibly. I don't think these brawlers were that difficult. Yeah, I didn't even write anything for them. I think they were just mostly a tank and spank. They might. Is that a stun? No. Okay. I think they just hit hard. There you go. That's the meteor. And they wipe, which we shall not be doing. And okay, they get into the blood boil. Alright. Yeah, I don't think this boss is terribly complicated. I think they were just in a pug. But it is not, it's probably like, it's a very serious healer check, I think. Alright, so essentially for blood boil, there's a couple things. So there's this acidic wound ability that is going to go on the tanks, reduces armor, deals nature damage, applies every 3 seconds. So tanks are going to want to swap, and I'm fairly certain he is immune to taunt. So you just sort of have to stop damage to let someone overtake you. One thing he recommended for tanks is all of you take a stack of acidic wound, maybe even 2 at the start, so that you're taking damage and you're gaining either mana or rage back so that you can do more threat. He said that is very helpful, especially for rage users. And then paladins, you're taking damage and getting healed, so you're getting more mana, which I thought wasn't a bad idea. And then He said around 10 stacks is probably where you want to end up as a tank on this fight. So you sort of just work around that. Take 2, let someone else overtake you. Take 2, let someone else overtake you. That sort of thing. The Bewildering Strike will hit a tank and disorient them, and will remove you from the threat table during that time. That's just so they actually attack you. And then it has, similar to Void Reaver, has the eject ability, which is just going to push someone back. That's why they're tanking against the wall, and it reduces your threat. So that's sort of how you do tank swaps. Has a frontal as well. And then this Fell Breath is a random melee ability. And so you just sort of want to be in kind of clusters. Actually, what did I write about that? Yeah. So the big thing is this, two things actually. There's a lot to this fight, okay. Blood Boil is an interesting mechanic. It is going to hit the 5 furthest people, ideally range players, and it stacks. So essentially what you want to do is, this is kind of like the boss in Nomergon, but you have 5 people stand the furthest away and get the stack, and then they move ahead of the next group who moves back to take the next debuff, and then they move ahead and the third group goes back to take the next debuff. And by the time that's happened, the first group has had their debuff fall off, so they can now be the one that moves back again. And you kind of just stick through those 3 groups of 5, moving over and over again. It's pretty straightforward once you see it on the video. And there'll be 5 of those before you get into P2. And then during P2 it all falls off and you're fine to start again. P2 is very odd. Basically, he buffs a certain player. You have 100% healing done, you have 300% damage done, you have 100% size, you get tons of armor, tons of health, and the boss focuses you. There's no threat. Everyone's threat, it's actually, the threat locks. So it doesn't get reset, it locks. And it's just no one gains threat during this phase. It's 30 seconds long. And as the individual, even though you do more damage, the biggest thing you need to live in this phase. Because if the tanks have to fight this boss while he's enraged, it's going to suck. So you have to be the tank. And you just have to live. If you're a warrior, you throw on a shield. Ret Paladin, throw on a shield. If you're a Resto Druid, you go into bear form. You need to live during this phase. It's very, very important. Fell Geyser, I didn't really see much of this on the video. Just make sure you're nice and spread. Not back around the Fell Rage target. And then again, this is threat gen to 0 during P2. And then after P2 is over, he just goes back to where he was hitting in P1. But it's just very important, whoever this target is, just make sure you're living, buy an Iron Shield potion, ensure that you don't die. I think I liked this fight better. Big part of this is going to be the tanks. The tanks and the person who gets targeted, just make sure that they're staying healthy, watching their own threat. And then you can see here, this debuff, if you watch, this group 3 will get this debuff here. They just got it. And then the next group to get it is group 4. So there will be a lot of passive healers for the raid. There you go, group 4 just got it. And then this group should get it next. And if we only have 14 range, then guess what one melee gets to do? And then you can see here, group 5 got it, and group 3's falls off. And then they are able to continue the soak, the dance, if you will. And then all the tanks are getting stacks. Lots of threat, lots of rage. That was the frontal. And then this is the phase 2. So it's charging against an individual, and all they have to do is live. You just got to fixate them. You just got to make sure you live. Does he take more damage in this phase? I don't think so. And then after that, we're back to phase 1. You got your range stacks that are moving in and out. You see the bear is trying to overtake, so it's standing in front. There's a knockback. There you go. So the bear got the threat there. And then there should be another P2 coming after the next. You get 5 of those range debuffs between the phases. So once the 5th one goes on group 4 here, it should split there, and then it goes on the tree. And then you can see the tree should switch into bear form. There you go. And again, no threat. You just need to live. And you can see his bear's health is in the bottom corner here. So they are, they are getting whacked. But you do not want the tanks to have to tank him while he's enraged like that. It's going to suck. And then range, just make sure you're listening to the callouts for your groups. Make sure you're cycling through. You don't want anyone to take 2 stacks. And the threat resets don't look that bad either. I don't even know if we need 3 tanks. And warrior should be taking it over from the druid soon. Some more fart breaths. Looks like range is getting a little messy. Group 4 should be getting a debuff here. And they probably do it phase them. Oh, we got one more phase. And again, just make sure you live. Should be drain lifing as a warlock. I'm sure eventually, as we get better and more comfortable at this, we can, that person can like use that as like a damage amp, because you do a lot of damage and like pump. But for the first bit, just live. As you can see, it's a very heavy fight for our AoE healing. And that's reliquary here. Okay. Yeah. One boil. Oh, he doesn't go through they do here. Okay. Yeah, they do the gauntlet. So for this fight here, these ghosts are pretty much the same as far as I'm aware. But essentially it's a gauntlet. These respawn after like 30 seconds. And we want to, you'll see they can like, we'll watch, we'll go over the boss abilities first. But basically they bring that to the ramp. And you just have to all move together along this wall so you're not pulling too much. Kill everything on the ramp, and then you go into the boss. This has 3 phases. Each of the different phases, they all do drastically different things. And then between each phase, there's like a bunch of ads that spawn that you kill that'll help you regen your mana. So as healers and everybody really, you can just not worry about being too conservative. Phase 1, each of these phases will have a different aura that's a permanent debuff on everyone. So for the first phase, there is 0 healing. There is no healing and no health regeneration. It has reduced armor as well. The big part is the healing and health regen. You can still power shield targets, but just be very mindful of that. You're not getting any extra health in this phase, which is interesting to say the least. There's also no threat, so there is a fixate on the closest player. So basically, whichever tank is tanking is going to run into the center of the boss and be hitting it, so that they're getting fixated. And what we are doing is you are cycling through. You're cycling through your 3 tanks. You're cycling through evasion rogues. You're cycling through bopping targets, all that good stuff to keep everybody nice and healthy. Soul Drain, which is just a magic dispel right away, and then there's a soft enrage every 45 seconds, but we shouldn't really have too many issues with it. The big thing is going to be the fixate and the lack of heals. Healers as well, you can DPS during this phase since you're not healing anyway. The one thing that they said was the fixate takes a couple seconds to switch. So if you're at 10% health, you can't go, oh, I'm at 10% and then run out. It'll still be attacking you for a couple seconds. So when you want to do the switch, someone runs in, you run out to max melee range, and then after a couple seconds, the boss will swap. So sort of just keep that in mind. Like rogues especially, like when you have 3 seconds left on evasion, that's when you move out, not when you have 0 seconds left. Again, there'll be an intermission and then a phase 2. This is Desire. This increases healing done by 100% because, this is fun, 50% of the damage done is reflected back to the attacker. So if you are a crit class like a warlock, be very, very careful. If you are an elemental shaman, if you are a burst of any kind, do not kill yourself. Maybe stop that cast if you get a crit. What's that?
Do not shatter word death.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Another neat trick, this deaden ability, which I think can be kicked as well, but essentially warrior tanks can spell reflect it to make the boss take more damage, which is very nice. And then Spirit Shock is the main kick. Essentially, we can have like a kick rotation. I'll have to get a rogue to double check this, but he was talking about rogues with a certain PvP set can get all the kicks. I think like one of your abilities becomes an interrupter. I don't know how it works, but
it's the PvP gloves. Your deadly throw becomes like a ranged kick.
There you go.
Just cycle that.
Okay. Yeah, so something to look into. That would be interesting. But and then Rune Shield, which can be spell steal, because it gives immunity to interrupts, which obviously is not great. So yeah, healers, you're pumping in this phase. DPS, just be very careful. Do not kill yourself. And then we need to make sure we are kicking. If you can see this line here, removes them from the threat table. You cannot have this go off on a tank. So Curse of Tongues also is mandatory. Let's see if I added anything. The rogues. I'm not sure if the Rune Shield can be purged or only spell stolen. We'll have to see. And then phase 3. I believe this is where you lust. Phase 3 is just increasing shadow damage on the raid, another soft enrage. This Seethe ability, it's interesting what he suggested with it. Essentially, every time there's a taunt swap, the boss gains increased attack speed, and the entire raid gets increased threat regen. So it's a little scary, but what essentially is suggested is the off tank goes in first, hits the boss, and then the main tank goes in and taunts off the boss to get this Seethe buff, and then nobody attacks for 10 seconds. You'll see it in the video where they just let this tank build up a massive threat lead. And then as soon as that buff falls off, they just lust and nobody has to worry about threat. It was super interesting. I thought it was really good.
The exception to the nobody attacks during that phase is hunters with MD.
Yes, precisely, because they
You
can
want
help.
your threat rotation MD, which is full aim shot, multi arcane.
Very helpful for sure. This Soul Scream is a pretty important one. It's going to deal a bunch of shadow damage in a frontal cone, so don't be in front of it. And it deals extra damage based on how much mana and rage you have. So if you're a warrior tank taking this, stance to drop your rage, and if you're a bear, you just power shift, and then that'll help alleviate that ability. And then Spite. Spite is very interesting. Targets 3 random players. You're immune to damage for 2 seconds. Then you take 7,500 damage, and then you're immune again. Obviously, so that you're not getting ticked to death unfairly. So healers, whoever gets spited, you have a couple seconds to react, and then make sure you are pumping into these targets. But it seems fun. Yeah, it was. I liked watching his kill, I think. Alright, so this is where they sort of stopped, got the raid healthy, and then they pulled the boss. As far as the gauntlet, which isn't much of a gauntlet, but... So this is Suffering. This is the one with a fixate. So he's just sort of sitting in there. He's getting to 40% health. Popping his CDs. He slowly moves out. Someone should be taken from him soon.
Can I pop in?
There it is. Hey?
So something we did in my group last time round was have a priest shield all the tanks, and then the tanks would bounce in and out like every 5 seconds whenever it switched, as the shield got used up.
Yeah, we could try that.
A lot.
Additionally, during phase 2, you should have one of your warlocks be designated to do Curse of Tongues.
Yeah.
So that Spirit is easier to kick.
It's a 1 second cast, so Curse of Tongues is super helpful for sure.
Like you can also do like mind numbing poison with rogues if you're a rogue player. Anything and everything helps with this. Just make it as easy as possible. You do not want it to come out.
Yeah, we can't have any of those going off. You'll see it. So that's the Dispel, which actually kills him because nobody dispels him. So again, if you can magic dispel, please be mindful. It's just Pallies and Priests, right? I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, you can see. I think they had a rogue evasion. They've had the tank switch through. It's a little bit, as long as we manage the fixate, it should be fine. Like even like if I'm playing Kitty, I can swap into Bear and take a couple hits from them. We have a rogue. You got, warriors can throw on a shield for a bit. You just kind of get through the phase. And then this is the intermission. You'll see these souls will like just push everybody's mana right up, which is super nice. So like I said, you can kind of just burn your mana in each phase, healers and DPS, which is kind of nice. I like that they do that. They don't really do much. This is phase 2. This is a sick looking boss, by the way. Alright. So there's Spirit Shock. So you can if you listen to this kill, he's just calling names out constantly for who's going to kick. That was the Purge or the Spell Steal. Another kick. Another kick. And then I think this Deaden ability here, I think he reflects it. I don't know if he did or not there, but it can be reflected. And then you're just going through that kick cycle. And then you're watching everybody like slowly get chunked by their damage, so you kind of have to be mindful. Also, a mage died because of threat. kick. That's dead end. He did reflect it onto the boss, okay. Yeah, that's super helpful if you can do that. Pretty extensive kicks for a classic, I gotta say. Feels more like a retail mechanic. And then everyone's just watching their health, being safe. The 100% extra healing is gonna feel nice though. Just holy priest salivating. More purges, more spell steals. Nice and chill. And then obviously just in case of a cast going out, they've got the bear chasing. So you do want one of your tanks chasing for sure. But you basically never want any one of those casts to go out. Again, nice and chill. Kill some souls, get some mana, get some shards, and then anger. So we want to see the front of this. Yeah, so you can see they had the bear go first, get some threat, and then the warrior taunts, and he's got this buff, and nobody does anything except for the hunters, like we said, and he just gets so much threat. And then once it's over, they just pop bloodless and they go to ham. Super nice. And then the frontal does not have a cast, by the way. You can see this soul scream being cast here. You just have to watch it as a tank and dump your rage before it happens. And then I want to see if we can see the spite. You can see everyone's just taking damage. Yeah, I want to see the spike go off. Hold on, I apologize. Is that the spite there? No. Yeah, I don't see it. On his, oh, there it is. Watch Aquafresh here. Yeah, so it went out there. It's on Aquafresh. Actually, I don't see it on anybody else, but oh, there you go. Shadrux as well. So they're immune, and then they take bam, big damage, and then they're taking ticking damage afterwards. So you have to kind of pump them up real quick. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. Okay, maybe another fight where you want to throw on some stam pieces. But yeah, not too bad. 3 more bosses. For Mother, we are starting down here. You're kind of going through this room. It sort of depends on the patrols and what you kill when. The big thing in Mother Trash that I saw was these 2 mobs here, the Torment and Delight mobs. They share 50% of the damage taken. Ideally, you want to focus Torment and then swap when she throws like a Reflect Shield on. All these other ones are like small little random pulls. They're not super important. Kind of go up the stairs, more AoE, more torments, and then we get into these like sword masters or whatever that'll split into like whirlwind mobs. You just sort of kite them, kill them. They don't really do that much, I think. We'll see a thing. We kind of pull this pat, but not Not too much. They kill a couple more in this area. There you go, yeah. Delight and Torment here. So yeah, so there's some random packs that you want to do AoE on. And then these priestesses. So you want to focus the Torment first. I think Delight is a healer. And he was saying you kill Torment usually before she shields if you hard focus her, so. We'll have to see. And then once we get through this mother trash, that's all. No, there's a bunch. Never mind. After mother, I forgot. Those pesky blood owls. Yeah, so he's just explaining it. Some more stewards, some more AoE, more torments. You'll see this. She splits soon. I think it's like 30%. There it is. So these things just start spinning. You just sort of heal through it. Kill them. Some more AoE packs. Some more torments. Some MCs. The huge. Alright. I think I liked their mother kill because you saw her get the ability a couple times. So this is the fight we've been talking about for Shadow Res. Basically, there is an ability. There's a couple. The big one is Fatal Attraction, but she has like a Saber Lash, which is split between the tanks. The other reason is it gives you immunity to this ability, which is important because it's would be bad if a tank got teleported. Silencing Shriek, which does, I think it's melee 18 yards. You get silenced, so bad luck, Paladins. The beams are 4 different ones that can do different types of damage. They can chain as well, so you're sort of like stacked for them, but they don't do too much. And then this shield will change every 15 seconds, reducing damage taken by a certain type, increasing damage taken by another type for magic. So I would, if you want to track that as like an arcane mage, for example, and when you want to pop your CDs, that sort of thing might be helpful. And then Fatal Attraction, which is the big one, which you should see in this video. Essentially, 3 players are targeted, or randomly targeted. They are teleported together, and they are linked. And your link deals tons of damage to anybody around you until the links are broken. So essentially what you do is once you're teleported, all 3 of you run in different directions, like in a triangle, outwards to break these really quickly. So if you're a mage and you blink, that's helpful. Rocket boots, those sort of things are really good. Obviously sprint, blah, blah, blah. And then if you have shadow resistance, you can kind of resist this and take less damage from the ability, which can be helpful if we're struggling with healing. But if you do get this ability and you look like you're taking damage, that's a great time for your health pot, for your health stone, all that kind of stuff. Shadow protection potions. Very, very helpful. And then you can see them standing under this stupid fish. And it's because she will knock somebody up, and the fish stops you from getting knocked up. There's a couple spots in here where you can do that. It doesn't really make for good viewing, though. But I want to see
for great
this.
comedy, though. The fish
Yeah.
stops you from getting knocked up.
Here, you can see in the back, she will get teleported this healer a couple times. It was nice to see, but behind the boss, you can see that circle target. They get teleported there, and then they will have beams attached to them at the back there, and they got to run in a different direction. And you can see on the frames, people are dipping super low. Like, it's very, very dangerous. And you're, again, running away from your healers. Like, so you just have to be very careful once you're targeted for that, and just do everything you can to live. Just run in a direction. Be smart. Watch how the other players are going. Don't run in the same direction. Try to break it as quickly as possible. And try your best not to run through the group if you can. Here you go. You see she gets it with those beams. She sort of runs sideways, so you see, like, she could have easily run. She was trying not to run through melee, I guess, but she just runs with the beam with the other person rather than running the other direction to break it faster. So that's what you want to do. You want to break that more quickly. And then she gets silenced here because she's too close to the boss.
Can I talk real fast about what is the Fatal Attraction nerf that we've been discussing?
Yeah.
So originally, the unnerfed version of this, and this is like the only boss that has a significant nerf, is on Fatal Attraction here. And the reason why we're not going to hard require 174 shadow resistance is because originally it was 3k every tick, so you could see how every single tick there is pretty fast. And 3k every tick, you're dead in like 3 or 4 ticks, right? Depending on your class, and that's not good. Now it's the first tick is 1k, and then it starts ramping up to 3k. So you basically have more time. There's more room for error. You still have to do the mechanic. You still have to run away, otherwise you will die. But now it's like first tick, it's going to be less than necessary. That's a lot of ticks. So that person took what, 3 or 4 ticks there.
Yeah, I think she's using shadow res in this video to some degree. But again, like, if you watch her run, not to pick on this poor person, she just runs sideways. She's trying not to run through the group, but she's running with the other person. So either she needs to move towards the boss a little bit just to break, or probably what should happen is the person that she's linked with needs to run the other way so she can avoid the other group.
If you're on the far side, just run the fuck away.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Go away.
Just run towards the wall, just run out of the instance, like wherever you need to go. Just so you can kind of effectively break that. It's so important. Just break it. It's okay if you have to stop DPS for a second. And that was one thing I was going to say. I don't remember what knocks up.
She does it like a chain lightning shadow attack thing, and it does 1 of 4 effects. One of them is the knock up.
It's one of the beams does it. Okay, I was wondering.
Beam. Yeah, they're like it's one of the 4 beams basically. One of them just does damage, one of them does not. One of them does damage knockback, and one of them will just drain mana.
Gotcha.
So you see, fishes love fish.
Helps with that a lot as well.
Yes.
Oh, it's a knock. That's okay. Yeah. And then again, you saw that she sort of runs the same direction for a second, and then they correct, which is good. So yeah, it's mostly just dealing with that fatal attraction is super important.
Anyone who is experienced in TBC content, the stat tooltip for resilience says reduces periodic damage dealt. Do we know if resilience interacts with that at all?
No, it does not.
Resilience does not affect shadow resistance. It's a different thing.
No, I think they're talking about the fact that it is damage over time. Oh, it's not, because it's just ticks.
It doesn't, because it's an explosion from the target at each tick.
Yeah.
And you're not even just taking it from one source. You're taking it from all 3 people that you get teleported with.
The last thing, the Saber Lash, we just need to cleave, share with tanks similar to the boss in Hydrol. Forgot to mention that. And then this is what makes us immune to getting Fatal Attraction. But yeah, pretty straightforward as long as we can handle the shadow damage effect. We should be good to go. Alright. Council Trash. So these things have a fun ability, and it's this one here called L5 Arcane Charge. Basically, this thing does 100% of your health. It just kills you straight up. So for our priests, as soon as you see this go out on someone, you need to see who it's targeting, and you need to shield them. Or the individual needs to pop a Nightmare Seed or whatever to live. Or like you see, they just die. So make sure you're targeting the mob as a healer, and make sure you're seeing who it's going on, and vice versa. Make sure you know if you're being targeted. They do like smattering of other things, of like shooting out beams and stuff, little things to avoid, but the big thing is this charge. So it's on the tank. This is sort of what he's explaining. You got some time to react, and then you see like the tank basically takes 90% of their health. But you should be fine with just a shield. Which I'm sure we can call out during the night. I don't think I really wrote much else for this other trash. It was mostly just these arcane bastards.
Is that like the groups of units to see?
I was just talking about these ones, the sentinels.
Oh no, the Sentinel's the only thing is the beam.
Yeah. And then these are the groups. But these all seemed pretty straightforward from what I saw.
There's a killer and you can cheap the mages, basically.
Yeah.
Is the general gist of it. They're not too complicated.
Didn't seem like it was too bad when I was watching and reading. Yeah, and then we're on to Council. Council, it looks fun. It looks fun. All right, so there are 4 targets. They all share health. Essentially, we will have a mage tank for one of them. Zeravor. Gathios will be the DPS's target, the focus. Dark Shadow will be with us as well, but it will also vanish and go on a random target and then try to kill them. So the off tank, who is probably going to be a bear, will try to pick that up as quickly as possible. And it's made awkward by some other abilities, but we'll get into that. And then Lady Marmalade over here will need kicks, as she is the healer. So we'll need both physical and magical kicks, similar to Dark Shadow, because all these 4 buff each other, and sometimes they're given a bop, and sometimes they're kind of given an immunity to magic thing. So it sort of depends on what they have on them at the time that'll kind of ignore your rogue kick or ignore your earth shock. Zeravor is very similar to Gruul. You're just stealing the dampened magic, hitting away, no melee in range. Gathios has a consecration. We're just sort of slowly moving around the room. We'll have different seals. There was some niche warrior reflect stuff that you could do with this, but it was not really interesting enough for me to remember. And then they've got different auras that'll be popped depending on. Some do make them take less damage, more damage, resistances, can stun people. This is the healer for shielding people for Circle of Healing, and then there's the rogue. Deadly poison needs to be dispelled, and vision, the vanish. Pretty straightforward. It's just a clusterfuck once you get into this. And we sort of talked about it, which was an interesting thing. I wonder if you'll actually show it. Yeah, he's going to do it here. Okay. Essentially, for the melee group, what he's doing is he's just going through, like, if you can imagine 4 quadrants. And so he's showing there's a blizzard, then he's moving here, then throws a conch down, so you're moving here, and then maybe there's a flame strike that goes down there, so he's moving to the next corner, and then there'll be another conch, so then he's moving to where the blizzard was. And that's sort of what we're doing as melee, is we're just sort of cycling, but over and over and over again, to stay out of the AoE effects. Yeah, we'll have like our mage tank, they'll have to be healed, and then we'll need our kicks on the priest, who does not really move, which is annoying. I don't like when they do that with bosses, but and then again, these all share health, so off tank picks up Dark Shadow, brings it in for cleave. We've got the priest being off tanked, chilling over there. Judgment on the tank, which will be a big deal because I think there'll be a lot of magic damage from this mob, so you want to be mindful. You can see the conch over there that he dropped. Should be a new conch soon. And then you're always watching for the blizzards, or there it is. A lovely DBM warning. You can see the off tank or the rogue is moved. So you go on triangle at the top there. The off tank did not pick that up fast enough and it killed someone. So as soon as it vanishes, the off tank has to just rush towards it. The reason they mention bear is because if it has a physical immunity to it, the bear can just spam Moonfire to get threat back because it's a threat reset, which I thought was pretty smart. And you see a blizzard in the center of the room. There's the conch. And it's just kind of slowly going through this. It's a very long grind of a fight. We need kicks. We need big heals. We need everybody to be mindful of their AoE so we're not taking too much damage. We need our mage to be on top of the dispels. Another thing they mentioned, mages specifically, this was a long fight, I was leaving running. When we're starting the pull, what this mob does is it puts a dampen magic on itself, but the dampen magic lasts 5 minutes. You don't want to pull this when the dampen magic has like 5 seconds left on it or something, or even like 30. You kind of want to wait till it has at least a couple minutes on it so that you have a healthy dampened magic going into the fight, just for those first couple fireballs that you're going to take or whatever.
TFC,
yeah.
not to disagree with you. For the boss that becomes immune to physical and or magic, I've seen it most commonly tanked by a paladin, just because they have access to a lot of magic threat and a lot of physical threat. Rather than their magic threat is better than Moonfire can be, is my thought. And that's what I'm putting in the notes.
There's
as long as they can get there too,
Druid, is because he vanishes and then appears behind a random raid member, and Druid has the ability to charge to it.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Arla.
It doesn't chase very well unless you've got Avenger's Shield.
We all know how our paladins feel about that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Aaron created a second paladin so she could get it on 2 tunes.
Mm-hmm. Gotta throw them grenades.
Actually, I don't see where this second mob went. The soft tank's not doing a very good job. Because you want to keep it in for cleave.
Yeah, he's creating. It vanishes for about 10 seconds and then appears.
Oh,
so
there
it's
it is.
very
Okay,
common
okay.
for the bear to greed, get some damage on Gathios, and forget to be there.
I didn't think it was like 10 seconds. That's absurd.
Yeah, he's
and
gonna be out of
then
the fight for a while.
yeah, like if somebody gets bopped or like magical immune, like for example, if Skull gets magical immune or something, casters just switch to another mob.
You can do similar with the resistance auras because he does add a lot of armor or a lot of magic resistance to everything around him, and
True.
casters can just switch to the mage or the priest as long as they are very careful about threat if they target the mage.
Are we going to be kiting the mage?
Mage
Nope.
stays put.
Yeah, mage is just a mage tank that it's very similar to Gruul.
Yeah, it's just some people do it that way. That's why I was asking.
I mean, I guess you could like try to throw it into the mix with kicks. I don't know. That seems annoying.
No,
some people will do it around the stairs. It's nothing. We're not doing it, so we don't need to worry about it.
Oh, I see. You can see the heal goes off here, and it's a decent chunk. Yeah, it's about 5%, so pretty important to get kicks. Obviously, she might be immune or whatever, but as you can see there, 5 minutes into this fight, it is just a slog. You just gotta be smart with your mana, with your health. Make sure you don't die. Watch your AoE. The more healers just have to heal the mage and the tank, the better.
I find it interesting that he's staying in the middle of the room. I'm used to just keeping the paladin towards the far side of the room.
Well, I'm even wondering if you can like range certain buffs, and then like you were saying with the aura, so I kind of agree that it should be further.
This is better in a different way because it allows the range to be fully spread out around them, and like you can have mages and LA shamans stick closer to the priest,
and healers can see everybody, yeah, for sure.
But if you're all grouped up, it's easier on heals, it's easier on stuff, but you get Blizzard and Flame Strike all on larger groups of people.
Very true. You have to be more on top of it.
Give and take which strat you want to do.
But yeah,
there are some
I think that Judgment cast is the one you want to spell Reflect. That really long Judgment cast.
If only. But yeah, it's a long fight, and like we'll see how we're doing it on Thursday, but just sort of be mindful of specifically the AoE effects. You don't want to be in them for too long, and obviously if you're assigned to kicks, you saw it's like a 5% heal, like it's super important. And nobody wants to do this fight for 5 minutes and then wipe, so.
Yeah, and anyone who didn't notice, it's a shared health pool.
Yes, exactly.
It is also a pretty awful run back to this fight in particular.
Yeah. So this guy in particular did a 30-minute Illidan review, which I don't really think is necessary, but if you are interested, it's on his YouTube channel somewhere, and then I will link I'll link all these videos later. But Illidan is the big bad. There are a whopping 5 phases to this fight. Hopefully we only see 4 of them. essentially P1 starts at.
Lots
Go
of
ahead.
4 of them in profit. You'll see all 5.
Yeah. So for phase 1, the big thing is shear. You'll need shield block, you'll need holy shield, whatever it is, to make sure you have enough mitigation to not get hit by this, because it is awful if you do. Has a frontal that heals himself for damage dealt, so we want to make sure you are not in front of the boss unless you are tanking him. Flame crash, you'll see it's these little circles that they put on the ground here, pretty obvious, and we're just sort of slowly kiting him around. And then Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend is just a dot that goes on somebody. You move it out of the raid, it'll spawn one of these ads, and then you slowly kill the ad using CCs and what have you. Hunter traps, blah, blah, blah. These are important because they come back in P3 and P5. Or, yeah. The Shadow Fiends is going to be the big one. Make sure you're running that out far enough. Make sure you're noticing it on yourself. And then tanks, just making sure you have right positioning with Illidan. P2, an Infamous phase, throws his glaives down, jumps in the sky like a fucking drama queen. And basically, he does a couple things. I think he's throwing fireballs on random people, so you can see we've got our range group split in the center here. And then he is doing eye blasts, which you'll see in the video here in a sec. But the main hit, you can see here, does 20,000 damage. You cannot get hit by this. It is telegraphed, but just really make sure you're being smart when you see this go out. However, the fire afterwards, if you need to reposition, you have to jump through the fire. It's not the end of the world. It does hurt, but it's not terrible. But you cannot get hit by the main hit. It's super important. Dark Barrage, it's just going to deal a heavy amount of damage to a target. So just be very careful, healers. Like, as soon as that goes out, you really have to start healing that individual. And then for the blazes themselves, they are going to put poop on the ground. You got to kite them around. We can't kite them too far away from their blades. So that's why you can see they're going around in the circle here. And then you'll have to go back, because they can't go more than 25 yards or they enrage, and it's a bad time. And they also have a frontal that we have to avoid. We're going to kill one, and then we're going to kill the other. And this is where our 2 tanks will have a bunch of fire res gear, make sure we're nice and healthy, helping our healers through these. P3 is the same ability as P1, so we have the crashes, we have the frontal, we have the fiends, we have the shear. But we also have agonizing flames. So you'll have basically a 5-yard AoE around a random player. Just make sure you are getting healed through it, and make sure you are spread. And then this is the phase we're hoping to skip. He leaves this phase once you push him to 30%. So if we're able to, after phase 2, in this phase, push him fast enough, I believe you can skip this phase. They do not do this in the video, but it'll just depend on what our damage is. But essentially, phase 4, he turns into a giant demon. This is where we're using a warlock tank. Lots of shadow res. He has an aura around him, a 15-yard aura, so melee, get fucked. And he's just dealing shadow blast damage to this warlock constantly. And then there's AoE damage, and then he will summon demons that fixate that people will need to kill, but I'm sure our melee will be thirsting to do something. And then P5. P5 is 30%. I think there's some RP nonsense that happens. And then it's the same thing. All these abilities are returned. We have 3 Shadow Fiends. We have Shear, Slams, Spread, yada yada, Frontal. Except now he will enrage, and you have to drag him into one of these traps that she very conveniently and helpfully puts beside a fucking pillar. In order to get him to stop enraging, and then he has like a damage increase on him. So it'll be a damage increase for the raid once we bring him into the trap.
A note. Maeve can be a total troll with where she decides to place this trap. It's random. So sometimes if the trap is in a bad position where you would have to turn Illidan towards the raid in order to get to the trap, the better idea is just to use shield block, use your Nightmare Seed, and soak the enrage as best as possible.
Yeah, I don't remember if the frontal is tracked. Like if you have time to kind of like aim him towards a tree to get him in the trap or not as a tank. I don't think you do. I think this was a better kill, so we'll watch this one. I do not see any timers for this frontal, so I don't think it is. That's the crash, so he just moves it kind of over. There is the soul.
There's the draw cell.
Okay,
and
yeah,
hopefully
so there...
it should just be the 50 or 500k, however much it was.
Yeah, and there's no indication for it. Okay, so yeah, it's not safe to... You can't plan for that, okay. And then you can see in the back the Shadow Fiend. The druid runs to the location, had a skull on its head, hunter trap, Shadow Fiend gets down, they kill him. Clean. Should be another slam soon. That's that sheer ability that you're blocking. There's another crash.
At the moment, we're going to be having our paladins tank Illidan during this phase, and then have the warrior and bear tanks tank the fire elementals, and then have a designated warlock for the shadow part.
That makes sense, yeah.
So for warriors can do this in their usual gear, usually as long as they're saving shield block for each shield. But paladins need to have a much higher total mitigation to handle him. It's totally doable, and he's a demon, so threat's not an issue.
Yeah. It is definitely a higher mitigation fight for paladin. The reason why we're doing paladin is our paladins are... A lot of our warrior tanks are not warrior tanks. They're more of fury warriors who throw on a shield every once in a while. Actually, no, that's not true. Subabu's has fear, don't they?
Yeah, fear's wonderful. But I think we're still going with the pally tank for Illidan.
Yeah.
Most of the paladins don't have an off spec as well, which also helps.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You just need to get like that unmissable number, which is like 12 or 13% above.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. The main
reason
we're not like normally for like big hit fights like this, you'd want like your bear to be the one doing it, but because of sheer and how sheer works, you want to be crush capped, and bears are not crush capped.
We're also much better at being off tanks, so just because of the kitty nonsense. But yeah, anyway, so we're in P2. You can see the glaives have been thrown down. No warriors, you cannot pick these up yet. So you got a bear ready for one. Oh yeah, he's taking Ellen, that's why. And then you can see the entire raid is in the inside in 3 groups, and the reason that's important is because you cannot get more than 25 yards away from these things, or they also will enrage. So everybody needs to stay stacked up. They have to stay near their blades, and they have to steer near the group. They're very social butterflies.
And that does include the other tank.
Yes. So you're dropping poop. The bear's sort of kiting it, slowly bringing them different places. There's a frontal. You kill the bear one first so he can be a kitty cat. You saw that was the shared fireball damage going out here on that group. That's why you're stacking. And then you're running out of space there, so you're running to the other side.
So if you've already got the max fire resist, the actual fire puddle on the ground is not too bad to move through if you need to turn around.
I haven't seen this I-beam yet. I'll have to move back. I wasn't really looking for it. But you can see it's getting to be a little bit hectic, but you kind of just bring it further back over there. Kind of hope he I-beams again so I can see it. Again, soaking in the middle.
That little white laser is the single target barrage.
I just want to see an example of the I-beam before we move to phase 3.
He might not do it in this one.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was bugged in this PTR. He said that it wasn't happening. Okay, I remember. All right, we let the tank pick it up. So this is the same as P1, except for the I think there's more Shadow Fiends, and then yes, the flames around a random person. There we go. There's a Shadow Fiend. That definitely doesn't look like it was dropped in the right spot. And I believe this phase is 60 seconds. Yeah, he's got a demon phase here. So they're at 47.5. They did not lust, and he's switching. So we'll have to see at what point we can lust there and push him to 30 before the demon phase. That seems like it's a later in the phase ability. So here's the fixate from these mobs. And then that's the shadow cast going on the warlock, which actually can't see which warlock it is.
It's the one with the star on his head.
Yeah, but I can't see it on the frames. I just want to see his health going freaky, but I guess it's the top lock. Yeah. But you can see healers. It's a decent amount of damage, and then there's some AoE there.
With full shadow resist, it's got a good chance of like completely doing 0 damage, but it can also do like half your damage even with that shadow resist, or half your health rather.
At the moment, we're going to have our affliction locks be the ones to be doing the shadow resist stuff for progression.
Sounds good.
Just because they do less damage overall, and typically our affliction locks are more responsible than our destruction warlocks. So
sounds about right.
Also, in case anyone missed it, it is a threat reset from P4 to P3, so just be careful. And probably from P3 to P4. So this is the RP going into P5. The most dramatic WoW character of all time shows up with the stupidest shoulders of all time.
I'm surprised you rank her above Illidan. Illidan is the drama queen of WoW.
Yeah, but she's chasing them all the time. They're made for each other. I believe we see a decent showing of the trap. You saw this person got the fire debuff
she blinked
here.
over there to the left.
Yep, there it is there. Okay.
And as long as everybody gets out of the way, that tree's in the way.
It's a bit of a troll thing, but yeah. Drags it in. I think he missed it. Oh, there we go.
You gotta actually click the trap.
And then that's a damage amp. So during this phase, it's a damage amp. And yeah. from what I have read, essentially, if you get to P5, you can kill the boss. It's just surviving P3, surviving P2, and then P4 if you get it. So it's a long fight. I mean, the kill time is over 8 minutes. So really watch your mana healers for sure. But yeah. Seems like fun. I don't know. I think Black Temple seems interesting. There's a lot of cool fights, cool trash, so I will link all these in the raid chat that we're in if you guys want to watch them. Again, highly recommend this guide. It was really good. Obviously, it's long, but it was quite good. That's the Hey.
So thank you for putting this together, Casey.
Of course. This is also for me, so I helps me talk through it to learn. So yeah,
if we can
absolutely.
teach that type of thing.
But yeah, that's it. I did record all this and I did it properly this time, so I'll link my video if people want to watch it in the future. But yeah, thanks everyone for